thank you to you guys. While everybody else is going to events for EA, Ubisoft, Activision, Bethesda, then spending the next 4 weeks bitching about everything to honor whore themselves back into appearing like they're somewhat not impacted by human nature during reviews, you guys make it possible that I don't have to do any of that. Your patron memberships, YouTube memberships, even comments and likes help me fight the good fight. And even if we disagree, even if you end up hating me, I can promise you one thing. You don't ever have to worry about any of the stuff like that here at ACG. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. This video sponsor is Manscraper. Do you have too much cush in your push? Do you suffer from too much traction and action while you're thrashing and bashing at the late night smashing? Try Manscraper. Manscraper is for the manly man. Sure, you can get little kid trimmers from the competitors as they daintily dance around your third arm and muckles. Manscaped is for a different beast. It's for dudes from another brood who didn't politely need to clip but need to hedge trim like they leg-choked Wilt Chamberlain in the glory years. Using our patent-pending 15-horsepower chipper shredder with advanced gonad alert technology, we can promise you the best shave you're ever going to get. And with Manscaped 2.0, there's approximately 12% less chance of injury. For only $499.99, you can get the Manscraper. 4 plastic bags for collecting your work and a 6-ounce container of aloe vera. If you order now, we'll also throw in the Demansculator. If you have nose thunder, down under, or just need a good washing, just hang our 4.2-pound Demansculator from your junk. Why shower when you can power through the hour, smelling like a tower of flowers? The Demansculator gives your wrinkled boys the washing of a lifetime, certified to pass any antibacterial test for 6 months after use. Current research shows no impact on fertility. And last but not least, if you order now, we're going to throw in a little Gorilla Glue, because once you're done, you can make a beard out of all the leftovers. I mean, who doesn't want to dress up for Halloween, right? Why let all that good go to wasting? Manscaped, shaving your man grapes like you deserve. And if you join our Patreon now, you can join our photo collection group, where you can send in... No, don't send me in nudes. Manscaped. If you want nuts so clean you can eat off them. Manscaped. We haven't killed anybody yet. We've been clipping what you've been dipping since porn wasn't shorn and everyone looked like ivy and thorns. I just want to say before we start the podcast, a huge... What's up, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny Silver and guest of the hour, Regilicus Maximus.
Hey, Reg, welcome back, dude.
Hello.
Who's here to talk about his trip to Japan, as well as their love for Metaphor, the new meth-addicting game that apparently has more addiction properties than Persona, if I believe the internet. The internet's crazy talking about this. Either people love it, or people absolutely despise it. There is no middle ground for this game. Like, just... absolutely zero middle ground. I've been quite surprised because I thought some people would be like with Persona, where there's, you know, they like the art style or whatever, and then they're just not into everything else. But man, this game, it's one of those titles that I'll tell you what, when I turned it on and played that demo, man, that was enough for me. But apparently it wasn't enough for you guys, because you guys probably have like, what, 600 hours combined already somehow?
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's ridiculous. A lot, though.
Yeah.
A lot,
yeah.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about some of the news we missed last week. As you guys know, we had some tech issues. Weirdly enough, we had the same tech issues this morning, but we ended up doing something that slightly fixed it. And I was talking to some people who were doing streams this week, and they've all been experiencing this. So what I thought was original on my side looks like it may be an issue with OBS and a patch, as well as the ingest servers, but we'll just have to figure that out. Next up, or first up, I want to say thanks to all the patrons, all the people who subscribe. If you do subscribe to the channel, you do get grandfathered into the Discord here, but you can keep your, you know, YouTube membership at the other channel as well. It's whatever you want. Also, the other channel, we just posted the games of November. Bunch of games coming. November's packed, man. November's packed.
It was a girthy video, too. I looked at that and like, damn, dude, that's a lot of stuff.
That's crazy. What about you for doing videos, Johnny? How's the channel? Pimp that channel, by the way, so that people know.
Yeah. I'll pop a link in there. It's been going well. I'm doing a League-only channel. There's a video every single day there, and it's a gameplay commentary of me playing the game, sharing my thoughts and stuff. And it's been doing really well, and it's been really fun to do. It's the most sort of enjoyable type of video. I've tried a lot of different things on YouTube. Nothing ever fully clicked. And so this has been a really good surprise. I'll pop a link if people are, League enjoyers, you can check it out. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And I'll still pop back in the main channel to do like extended commentaries of stuff we can't get to in the podcast about like different games I'm playing and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I watched you. You posted a 5-hour one, which was really good for those sleep videos. You know, the new thing, which is like do an extended. And you and I talked about it, and you did it. I left it on. Yeah. So if people want to give him help, I mean, like one of the best things to do, he's got a 5-hour thing where he basically just crammed all the videos in a line, and they're all the same thing. It's not like it's a waste. It's actually easier to not have to click away. And I just left it on.
Yeah, it's like a movie.
Yeah, it didn't in any way, shape, or form make me want to play League at all. Like, it didn't sell me on League.
We'll make a League player out of you yet.
But I did sit through the entire fucking thing, like twice. I left it on all day the first day, and I think I left it on most of the day the second day.
Damn.
And
you're carrying my channel, man.
No, people need to do that because if something like what you just did, it's a good way to help, because you've got your stuff like, so the idea of putting it all together, you're not a person who's putting it all together for just the bullshit of it all. Like once you and I talked about it, you're like, oh man, that does make sense. Of course.
The moment you told me that made so much sense. Like, yes, this is good.
It fits yours perfectly, dude. It fits yours perfectly. And people should check that out, especially if you like League. If you don't like League, you're going to learn some stuff. I definitely learned like some of the character names.
People tell me it's great to go to sleep. They just put it on because I speak like pretty chill, you know, so just put it on and you go, just
Putting mine on, you'd wake up and you'd instantly have ADD the next day. You'd be like, this is a disaster. I need to defrag. But your stuff, nice smooth jams of Johnny. That's what we'll call it. The smooth Johnny Jams channel. That's what you need. Sup, everybody. This is KZI 701. What about you, Silver? What have you been playing or doing? Anything amazing?
Hardly amazing, I think, but I have sort of managed to still upload videos to my channel. Still uploading.
Look at that. Look at that.
God of War Ragnarok. Gonna give me God of War no HUD playthrough in that game. I'm getting into the mid game, I think, on that playthrough.
How do you find the higher difficulty in that? Fun?
Find it enjoyable. Like I find it actually better than in the first game in Ragnarok. Like enemies aren't quite as spongy as they are in the first one. On that difficulty, it does sort of verge more toward you just being more fragile than just spiking the enemy itself.
So it feels like it works better.
Yeah. Even though it does sort of go against the illusion of Kratos being like the all powerful.
Sure.
But it's fun, and it makes the combat feel more rewarding to me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Other than that, also Helldivers 2 and Space Marine 2 as well still.
We'll definitely talk a little about Space Marine 2. Reg, speaking of that.
The new patch. Sorry, just to...
Yeah, both of those games
scared the shit out of me, though.
New patches, like...
I wasn't looking, and I just... Oh, yeah! Reg, did you do Space Marine at all?
Nope. No, I didn't.
But knowing that it's like a game that you've played other prior games like it, do you think you're going to do it in the future? I mean,
probably not. Too many other games I'm more interested in currently.
Yeah. And you miss one day, right? You miss one day and there's 3 games, or 300 if you're on Steam.
Yeah.
So, yeah, makes sense. Reg, on the other hand, has been to Japan and back. But because it's Reg, I asked him prior to him going, I'm like, hey, man, so you be gone a week or whatever? Reg is like, ha, 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 with his baritone laugh. Was like, no. So you went for a full, how long?
Month. Yeah, 28 days. Yeah.
He went 28 days to Japan, man. That is absolutely nuts. The land of where video games were created. Yeah, 14
12
hours.
hours one way, 14 hours the other.
12 hours one way, 14 hours the other. That's nuts, man. So we're going to talk about that as well. And some of the stuff that he got to see. He's already told me some of it, but I want him to repeat a couple stories that we saw, including, well, yeah, we'll talk about some stuff there when it comes to his trip. So we'll get to his. We're not ignoring him. I just want to get some of the game stuff out real quick. The first thing I want to talk about is the Xbox Game Partner Preview that they did. They did this yesterday, and I didn't expect these guys to watch it, but I did. I did tell them, we were going to cover a little bit about it. It was a fairly good event, actually. I think my standout of it is weirdly enough a black and white third-person shooter, and I think my standout is just interest. So it's called Mouse PI for Hire. It looks like a Disney, it looks like you're supposed to be a Mickey Mouse, really, technically. But it's a first-person shooter with black and white, and I wanted to know what you guys think about playing a black and white first-person shooter for a long period of time. Right?
I have absolutely no issues with it.
You have no issues. Reg doesn't seem like that's for him, right?
Nope, not at all.
Yeah, and I'm in Reg's standpoint that the 3D, the color without the color, they're gonna have to do a good job. The animation is spectacular. But what about you, Johnny?
I played LA Noire in black and white the entire game.
Yeah, well, LA Noire, you can see your character. The distinct difference here is, of course, the first person. I think that having a first person shooter in black and white is definitely going to be a hard sale for me. But I mean, it could rock. Johnny, what about you?
So the first time we saw this, I think in the prior event, I thought this looks incredible.
Mm-hmm. He froze.
Johnny froze. Yeah,
dude.
At the best moment,
dude.
Yeah.
Hang on. We should all. Hang on. Let's see if he comes back.
But what you said right now just made me realize.
You were frozen the entire time.
I froze completely.
You did. Yep. Okay. So go for it. Go ahead. But it was awesome. You perfectly froze and like this pinky up. You were like, oh, go for it.
Yeah. I think it looks super cool when I see the footage, but when I imagine myself playing it, I wouldn't last 2 hours. That's what I just realized after you said that.
Yeah. And just so everybody knows, Johnny's been having a problem with his internet as well, and it's been popping in and out. So I was sort of expecting him to pop at least once. Hopefully, we got that glitch out of the way. But something else that they got out of the way, but they didn't show anything for this. But I know Johnny's interested, which is Subnautica 2. I mean,
yeah,
it's a big deal to you. I know. Like,
so
what do you want
early
from
access next year?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I wanted is bigger areas, maybe even, bigger creatures, go even bigger, go full like megalodon type thing. I would love that. But we didn't see anything, sadly, pretty much. Like with what they showed was very minimal, and it's going to be early access, so we can expect a pretty long tail until that actually comes out. So I'm really moderating my excitement because I know it's going to be painful. It's going to come out in early access, and I'm not going to play it until it's released. So it's going to take realistically years.
Right. Yeah. Connected to years real quick. I don't know if Silver saw me post this, but they announced Arma 4 is coming.
Yeah.
Did you see the date?
In 2027. Yeah.
2027. And I was like, dude, it was a thumbnail that showed like them going over some water towards an island. And I was like, oh man, what? There's going to be a new Arma. I cannot wait. Oh my God. And they put the date and I was like, dude, that isn't even a guesstimate. That's like a, I mean, that's so far out. So much stuff can happen, but I can't wait. I want to play Arma.
Well,
back to Subnautica.
Just curious,
though.
guys.
Oh, go ahead.
Real quick on that. Why do you think they would give a date if it's so far out? So many things could change by the time they get to that. Like, why even give a date? You know what I mean? Because they could just say, "Listen, it's coming."
You know what? I don't know.
They could. I think maybe, Bohemia has been, they just had their 25-year anniversary.
Right.
And they've been in the business a long time, but I think independent of like other game developers, what Bohemia's done a lot has been defense contractors. They've actually developed a lot of like military simulators and stuff for like military defense forces around the world. And I think those development processes have probably been defined by very specific milestones that had to be met. And so I think maybe they probably have a greater sense or confidence of hitting milestones and being able, like where they are in that organization and what they can meet than most standard development houses maybe. But that would be my best guess.
It just reminds me a little bit of the Elder Scrolls, where they showed them going over the prairie, and they were like Elder Scrolls 6. And this was like 7 leather jackets ago for Todd Howard.
Yeah.
Like that dude. I mean, it's crazy how long these companies are forward thinking, but it's also, I guess it's positive for employees too, because now the employee knows, hey, we're doing it. Because, a lot of employees don't know where you are with projects. They're working on projects. Some stuff's going off here in a secret little room. So it could be something like that. But I agree with you. I'd forgotten about the defense contractor thing. Back to Subnautica 2. I agree with Johnny. I'm a little nervous that, because I played Subnautica in its first, when that was early access like years ago, and it definitely scarred me. So
it was rough as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one they showed was Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers, which looks just like Wukong was worried to look. But this looks like it's going to look like that. And I don't know, man. I saw some stuff that I thought looked pretty cool in the trailer, but a lot of it looks 360 era third person, like action, like Dark Souls, but back then wasn't the same, but like the Devil May Cry mixed with Dark Souls kind of thing. But I don't know. They showed some monsters. Did you see any of this, Johnny? Did you see
Yeah, I watched the whole what they showed, and I like the magic. It looked cool, but from a gameplay standpoint, I'm a bit worried if that's gonna feel good to play or like janky, to aim the different spells and stuff, and how that's gonna work. It looks like there's some loose targeting going on with how they do it, So I'm curious. I'm curious about it, but I agree with you. And these names, we were talking about it before, starting this. Yeah. I've been memeing for a long time about these names. We had Wulong, there's Wukong, now there's Wu Chang. Yep. There's at least one other that was similar too, and it's just...
There's a sex sim called Woo Woo.
Oh.
I'm just joking, but that would be amazing. I'm sorry, I had to flatline that.
No, that passed the sniff test.
That passed the sniff test, yeah.
Check. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. The names are, it is just sort of what it is when it comes to these guys copying one another. We do, like you said, I had forgotten Wulong completely, like legitimately forgotten about that one. And then Wu Kang obviously was my favorite. Wukong, sorry, was my favorite. See, there we go. It's already screwed up. Man.
Do you think they're doing it on purpose to elicit some
connection?
Like similar, some connection. Like, hey, if you loved Wukong because it's been so popular, you're gonna, this is gonna be similar. Similar name, similar vibe.
Well, maybe it's a prefix, right? Or it's a isn't Wu like, I don't know Wu, Chinese, even though my wife speaks some Chinese.
Separate
I don't.
Word,
I don't. I don't know if it means the or something. I've never looked into that, but yeah, I don't know, man. Fallen Feathers is what it's called. I sort of dig that, but yeah, another title that it will come and go. I mean, I'm hoping it hits. But the combat I saw didn't look great. The one I think did look pretty cool, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza, which, as we all know, will now be called Like a Pirate. That game's naval battles looked pretty damn sweet, man. Like they're full on in ships, but I don't know how he's in battleships. I don't know even what the game really is overall. But February 21st is when that's coming out, and
for a minute I thought it was
Skull and Bones, or
Skull and Bones.
Yeah, it looks a lot alike, doesn't it?
It did to me, like just on the surface level as a first impression.
Yeah, but I mean, we've all. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, I was gonna say, watching this, I'm imagining someone in the pitch room where they pitch ideas for the next game. The guy saying, "Guys, I got it. Yakuza, the same chaotic fighting, but on a deck of a ship."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Brilliant. Ship it."
Yeah, brilliant. I love the idea of everybody just saying brilliant. Just like the thing is announced, like brilliant. But with Yakuza, it's spread out pretty wide too. I think with Infinite Wealth, it'll be interesting to see what the size of this game is versus Infinite Wealth. Because Infinite Wealth is such a monster. And seeing all those guys play that, it was so gargantuan. And then you had, man, I forgot his name or whatever, was just, man who erased his name, sorry, was just a nice, more edible sized type of title. So I don't know which one this is. But Like a Pirate is what it should have been called. It's a failure from top down. that they didn't name it that. I don't understand what they were thinking, because that would have just absolutely been perfect. Let's see what else we got here. We got okay. So
The man
let's
who
just talk.
erased his name is the name that should be the black and white first-person shooter. Really?
Yeah. So we have Firebreak. This is co-op control spinoff. This is from Remedy. Go ahead, Johnny.
So the first thing I thought is that it looks like a spruced up version of TF2,
Okay.
like Team Fortress, which is not a good thing, by the way. I'm not saying this is a compliment.
Right.
Just to be clear, I'm shitting on it.
Mhm.
But I do like the idea of like control gameplay mechanics into a co-op. I think that could be chaotic and fun. They didn't show a ton, so I'm still open to, being proven wrong. I didn't like the gameplay too much based on what I saw so far.
Yeah, we're getting that group shooter burnout pretty heavily.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but it's like every game that's, there's 3 guys who do this. There's a group of 3 that go in here. It's just really hard.
You can almost already tell, like, the bad guys are going to come in 3 types. You have the big, the big tall guy. You have the
fast
one,
one,
that spits
normal,
on
big
you.
fat one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's got some kind of stasis effect, right?
It's like playing
Right.
Nintendo's ice hockey. Yeah. Way back in
Oh,
the
you
day.
mean for the different size of the different...
And
Yeah,
I
you
don't-
had the really skinny players, the medium player, and then the big.
oh yeah,
yeah, the big fat player.
Yeah.
That is true. I
And
hadn't thought about that.
I don't know about you, but like I feel disappointed that we're still sticking to these enemy stereotypes since Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead
I
initiated
understand.
largely these,
Yes,
okay, you have
you're
the
right.
jockey, right, that jumps on you, and then you have the witch that you can wake up with. And like so many games, even games that I've loved, like World War Z, has taken pretty much wholesale the whole shebang and not really changed a ton on top of it.
Christopher, $10 super chat. Eternal Strands look good. I also heard that Laylod is the director of the new studio of Yellow Brick Games, the devs of Eternal Strands. He did Mass Effect 1. And I think Dragon Age, he says. That is correct. He is. And I would say Eternal Strands looks like what Fable wish it looked like right now. If you go look at Eternal Strands, you're going to see a bunch of stuff that reminds me of Fable's old gameplay. There's a lot of little magic here and there. There's like mixing ice to freeze a guy in place, freezing legs, fire, a lot of environmental stuff, obviously farther than Fable 1. But what I mean is, if something like this and this type of gameplay had been announced and they said Fable, it would have also fit Fable. There's some overlap there that sort of reminds me of the combat style I saw in Fable. Obviously, way more advanced in this because we're just farther along. But what I saw looked pretty good of it. I think it's the big thing. I don't know about you guys, but graphics matter, or at least the art style. We're going to talk about that here soon in a particular game everybody's been playing. And it matters. And the art style in Eternal Strands it's not pushed me away, but it's definitely not pulled me in. I need to see more to sort of figure out where it's going.
I agree. This is the type of stuff we saw with Immortal Phoenix Rising. And I think at the time, like, it worked super well. And for that game specifically, worked really well. But I think it's not that we've grown out of it, but we do want to see something a bit different.
More nuanced for,
Yeah.
I mean, love the games. $2 super chat. What's up, buddy? He says, I missed you nerds last week. When is Left 4 Dead 3? Never? ? Left 4 Dead 3 is going to be, and you heard it here first, a card game. It'll be right with Half-Life.
Yeah, right after Half-Life 3.
Half-Life and Left 4 Dead there'll be an intermix of the two.
It'll be the new orange box, like the purple box or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be a card game, something like that. With Eternal Strands, though, it looks like what it looks like. Doesn't bother me too much. I think Chronos also looked good. That's called The New Dawn. I believe it's made by Bloober Team as well, who just got done with, what did they do? Silent Hill 2, right? Remake of Silent Hill 2?
Yes.
So it's got a little bit of a Callista Protocol, a little bit of a Bioshocky feel, a little bit of a Dead Space feel, sort of everything mixed together. But I think that one grabbed me looks wise. It's just, again, we didn't see a lot of game. It's just sort of like, here's a trailer. But I'm glad to see them doing more stuff. I'm actually excited for that. We also got to see Blind Fire, which was a FPS where you're pretty much completely in the dark, and it's all about trying to figure out ways to make light to take out enemies. Thought that was, a thing, a game. Let's see. Phasmophobia is introducing co-op to the Xbox. Oh, we're excited to announce makes its Xbox debut October 29th. Yeah. Okay. All right. So it's not just adding co-op. It wasn't missing or anything. All right.
No.
And they showed a couple more, but for an Xbox event, it was pretty good for a month that not a lot is going on,
Yeah.
Oh, SBZ says, Carrick brings Reg back because he's desperate to revive his dying podcast channel. Just kidding. Welcome back, old game. Never forget Absy. I was going to say, if I really wanted to bring it back, I'd go get Go, I'd get Takedown, I'd get Reg, and I'd get Absy, and we'd all try to do a single podcast together. That would be anarchy, but it would be fun to do.
Yeah.
When talking about like the graphics, like we talked about earlier, metaphors come out. I know Reg and Johnny are playing it and seeming to love it. So Reg,
yeah,
like better than Persona. Like, do you like it more, less? Why do you like it so much?
I would say about the same. It is for me a Persona in everything but name, which is not very surprising given that's it's the devs.
Does it progress time in the same way, actually?
You have the time progression, you have the deadlines for the different quests and the main quests. So it's also it's the same that way. You have your confidence that you have to level up to gain access. What is different and what I do like more is that you don't have to like get the personas. Neither in the Pokemon way of the older games where you have to guess what they want to hear from you, so you get them, or get a random chance of getting any of them. You unlock them by talking to the people, and you level the potential maximum level up by hanging out with your crew, basically.
So the social aspect's still there, but it's easier, or not easier, but it's more. There's less RNG for the social elements. Is that sort of what you mean?
No, the social elements are pretty much the same still. Okay. But getting your powers leveled up is less RNG.
Okay, gotcha. What about the graphics, though? So did it take you a little bit at least to get accustomed to it coming off of Persona? No, wow. Okay.
Not at all. Not at all. One thing though, I like the soundtrack a lot less than Personas.
Oh, interesting. Why is it more? What is it, more modern, or?
There's that one soundtrack especially that's like kind of irritating to me, where you have the voices in the backgrounds that are going all the time during battle.
The battle music.
Yeah.
It's, dude, do you know it's literally like a monk chanting that they recorded and they put like.
Sure, but
yeah, they made
that doesn't mean I have to like it more.
No, I'm not saying that. It's just funny. Yeah.
Also, to be fair, like that's a high bar to clear to be as good as the soundtrack for Persona 5.
I would say, would you agree? It's just a lot more orchestral as well, because Persona 5 is sort of funky, right?
Yeah, funky,
modern.
Jazzy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other parts of the soundtrack I have no issue if it's really mainly that one song. I'm not a big fan.
Remember, Reg? It's like Cyberpunk 2077, that one song that was in the bar that we always would left, right, and left, whatever the fuck they say. And I was like, if I never hear this song again, it will be 10 times too soon, man. Well, I think the chanting idea, it works in some games, but battle music gets repetitive anyway. So if you then layer on the idea of having just somebody in the background say, you're like, okay, enough is enough.
Yeah.
What do you think of the battle system, Reg? Better, worse than Persona? More enjoyable? Faster? Slower?
I would say more enjoyable because of the switching out the job system basically that you have. I think that works better for me than the massive list of personas. Like you have a better overview of your possibilities.
Yeah, I think most of the people I've talked to have actually liked the battle system more in this, But yeah, I wonder if that's just tired of Persona 2 as well, just like because they played so much of it. But I don't know. What about you, Johnny? Like, would you agree with all that? Is there anything you liked more or less?
No, I like the soundtrack more. I think there are some themes that I absolutely love, like the one in the academia where you go to like research new archetypes and stuff. I love that theme. But I agree, like overall, the Persona 5 was just completely iconic, and I could listen to that like every day. But on the gameplay side, I think pretty much everything feels better in this one. It's faster. Everything is fast, so you can kill enemies before even going into turn-based. The turn-based is a lot faster. It's snappy. The menus kind of, move instantly. It feels great, I think, to play. And they shored up a lot of frustrations with the social stuff where you wouldn't know exactly what you're going to get by spending your time here or there.
Right.
It's a lot clearer now. Like, hey, okay, I can spend my time here and get exactly this, or go and do that. Time is going to pass if I accept, everything is laid out really clearly. The menus look great. The one thing that took me a while to adjust to is the presentation. There's some stuff that looks great, but like all the drawn stuff, menus that are drawn and the animation stuff looks great. But some of the 3D graphics, I'm still like not completely sold on it. And to be fair, Persona 5, same boat. I'm not sold on that. But here they tried to do it bigger and all 3D environments and stuff. And it almost looks a little bit like Final Fantasy 14 when I used I forget what the name of the thing is where you can change
like reshade or something.
The render reshade. Thank you.
Reshade. Yeah, no worries.
In my game, I changed it to sharpen everything, so I could see way in the distance a mountain or something, and it would look super sharp, almost cell shaded. And this is what it looks like in the game.
Right.
And so it takes a while to adjust. It's very in your face in a way. And at the same time, some of the designs of the archetypes I'm not in love with. They look a little bit genero to me. But it has a lot of really cool stuff, like I say. So a bit of mixed bag with the presentation, but the gameplay is so good. And I enjoyed the pace of the story. The writing and the voiceover for me has been a lot better, actually. This is one of the places. There were many annoying characters in Persona 5, like Ryuji or the cat or whatever.
Oh, God. Yeah.
They can, die in a fire respectfully.
Absolutely.
Not the actors, the
characters can die several times in the fire. Bring them back to life and throw them back in again.
I actually love the voice acting and the characters in this one. Like the gang is awesome, and there's some cool banter that goes on. The bunny guy, the guy with the big ears, Heismer or something, he's in your thumbnail today. Love that guy. He's got an awesome voice. Even the fairy, I thought she was going to have a shrill, annoying voice. She has a cool voice. I like her voice, actually. And overall, really enjoy the cast. And
they still have the same conversations over and over and over and over and over again.
That's gotten a lot better, because the big problem was the cat reiterating a lot of the conversations you've had throughout the thing.
For me, like that was like quite often like the text messages in the evening.
Oh, that too. That completely. That's not there. That's simply not there.
Where you would have the same conversations, and you would also, the gang would also just generally have the same conversations outside of the cat.
Yeah, I have not noticed that happening. I don't know if Reg has had a different. Yeah.
See, that's what's cool to me, because, I would agree with Johnny. Like, it's one of the worst demos I've ever seen in my life. The demo was terrifyingly bad. It was ugly. It was in a bad location. And the first thing you see is some neck-bearded vapors off in the corner in a building, during a cutscene. I'm like, this is just not for me. But everybody I've talked to who likes Metaphor, either that is just a terrible representation of the game, just like in a bad time to show it, or you get accustomed to it. One of the two. I don't know which, because I can't speak towards which. And when I ask people, even trying to break it down, they're sort of like you, Johnny, where they're like, I just like it. Maybe they have some issues, but overall they think everything comes together. It's got 4 distinct art styles, the most I think I've ever seen in a game. And so that's the one thing I had was it's just everywhere when it comes to art style. And I think as a demo, it doesn't present itself well if you're not prepared for almost this almost like multi-voiced game that's coming out at you. And you're like, okay, so the menus look like this. The background graphics look like this. The open world looks like this, which, by the way, the open world sections in the demo are fucking horrendous. Like they make Xenoblade Chronicles look really good and super, super elegant. And then everybody I talked to once they get into the combat is what we saw in the trailers and what we all were excited for in the trailers, because the trailers did a much better job of selling that to me than the demo did. But it's cool you guys like it so much. I've heard the same thing from all of you guys about it just feels slicker and faster and like they listen to us finally. Because most devs, man, you feel like you're all, dude, the cat needs to go. And then, Royale fixed some of that. It did try to fix some stuff, so you could tell maybe they were listening or maybe they just also realized it or whatever. But this game doesn't have a cat. It just doesn't have that situation at all, which is, well, I don't need to hear no technicalies, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Gotcha.
And that's awesome, man. It's cool because you guys are big Persona fans to the point to where I question the validity of your lives as a whole. And Reg has got like 300 hours in one, 350 in the other.
I do have around 300 hours in number 5. Yeah.
I'm looking at it going like, damn. And then you jump into this one. And from what I'm hearing from a lot of people, they like this one as much. Well, they're less hours. We'll see how you guys, feel after 300. But it seems like if it continues to deliver content, I feel most people are going to like this one better. It just feels like that. Maybe I don't know.
To your point with the demo too, it's an interesting discussion about how do you structure a demo, because we've had times where it's the prologue of the game and it continues right from there, which is the case here. And I think it really suffers for it because the prologue is not very good. I only started really enjoying the game after the prologue. Like once you got into it and you understood, oh, okay, these are the systems and you have the crew together and everything is flowing. I thought the prologue was poorly paced. They spit you out in a really boring location, like you said. Like it took a while to. So
yeah, it did take you a while, actually. Yeah. Now that I think about it, it did in particular because I was talking to you. Reg, what's your favorite part of it so far? Like, if there's one thing that is there something you're doing a lot in this game where when the option pops up, whether it be combat or social, or whatever the social stuff is, or.
Yeah, in combat, what I didn't do in Persona 5 that much, at least I don't think I did, is making sure that I stun enemies as much as I can before I enter combat because it's so important. And also figuring out like the weaknesses, which I mean was an important part of Persona 5, but I feel it's more rewarding here.
And because everything is faster here, you get it feels like you get whatever you do, you get the feedback quicker.
Well,
it just feels like everything's faster.
If you hit the weaknesses, you're like pushed back the turn of the enemy, so you get also
initiative.
Rewarded. Yeah, exactly. So you get also rewarded in that way.
Yeah, man, it's crazy to see. Do you feel the same way about the voices, Reg, that Johnny does? Did you like all the voices too, or have you liked them all?
I'm playing it on Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah, I was talking only about English, by the way, so I'm not sure.
From someone else, I've heard that apparently the English cast is better than the Japanese one. But I didn't switch around, so I'm not
That can't be a weeb saying that, because that person would be lynched and thrown off a bridge, right? There'd be no way that person would ever say that, even if it was true. That's cool, man. That's awesome. It's one of those games where I don't care if I like it at all, because it shows that they can have success switching it up. And to me, like, that means if we get a Persona, great. Maybe they switch some stuff up, make it a little cleaner. And if we don't, we get another one of these, then it sounds like unless the ending falls off a fucking cliff, I think in the end it wouldn't even matter for you guys. You'd probably still like the game as a whole. So then you've got this title that they show that they can switch things up, and they definitely did. They switched almost everything up. I mean,
the question is, how long till we get the Royale edition of this one?
Yeah, so that was so. So here, I don't know if you heard the joke, but well, you were in there, Reg, when we were joking about the Royal Edition is actually technically should have been this game because of the story. The old one should have been like the Graduate Edition or some, when you put the two together. But I think you're right. There's less to fix though. There's just more to add, I guess, because it feels like you guys are saying that for the most part, I mean, there isn't much to fix, right? How about this? Is there a thing you don't like? Like truly don't like, not that, it drags down a little bit, but is there something that you interact with so far that you're like, I don't want to interact with this system because it's,
there's one thing that makes you feel a bit locked in, which is every time you level up, you have to allocate stats, and you have stats like magic attack, physical attack, evasion, hit rate, that type of stuff. So for example, what I did is I started speccing really heavily into magic damage, but nothing into physical. And that actually means that you can't really use the physical damage archetypes effectively as with your main character. That is, the other characters have fixed stats progressions. But so that's interesting. That now once you play more, it starts to give you many more options on how to work around this. You have these things that you can, consumables that you can use to level up different archetypes to do it quickly. And so you have a lot of workaround things, and you can inherit abilities from one archetype into another. So there's a lot of flexibility there. But initially, you might feel a little bit like, hold on, I put all these points into magic, but I only have one magic class that I can use at the moment and 5 physical ones, and I'm sort of locked in.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
In the same way, I don't like the push that the game is giving you to have the main character as the mage. At least
you both brought that up in separate conversations, not as a negative, but you both brought it up in a weird way. And that is what I was going to ask you. That is why I asked this question. So what is it about that it's doing? Exactly.
So the game is giving you a unique bonus if you give the main character the mage class, which is an MP recharge for the whole party every time you instantly defeat an enemy, or stun them first and then defeat them in combat.
Oh, damn.
And MP is the resource limiter in dungeons. So you're very much...
It's your sustain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're very much encouraged to take that for the main character.
So this goes towards Kig's complaint, or not complaint, but Kig had brought up the thing about the dungeons taking forever. Or there was he was talking about a dungeon taking forever because he wasn't. Maybe it's because he didn't pick that one. And so he's only doing physical damage, I think was what he was saying. So have you guys noticed the dungeons are better or worse than this?
So the dungeons, the way it works is that the damage is balanced around MP usage. So stuff that doesn't use MP deals less damage, at least until later on you start to scale and you do amazing damage with physical too. Initially, the stuff that takes MP will do more damage, and that's their way of balancing your sustain. Because if you don't need MP for attacks, you can stay on the field forever, right? Like you can just cruise through the dungeon, keep hitting. But you have these powerful spells, but they cost MP. So that means, you can get through combat easier, but you can't do as many combats in a way. So you can kind of balance it out in that way. And if you're going for pure physical, sure, you have better sustain, like you can stay on the field longer perhaps, but then you're also getting through fights slower, through the dungeon more slowly.
Question about the physical archetypes then. Does it work like in Persona where then the cost for their abilities is your health? Or
for one specific archetype, yes. For others, it can still be MP, but the weapons you have with those archetypes, the basic attack will deal more damage than, for example, the staff. If you're a mage, you can hit people with your staff. You won't do very much damage. But if you have a sword in one of the archetypes, you will do okay damage. It won't be nearly as good as an MP spell, though.
Okay.
So it's kind of balanced around that. And then using consumables to get your MP back too.
So you guys are thinking that pretty much, if I'm reading this right, pretty much at the starting, it hedges more towards a magic user and
for your main character.
For your main character. And then as it goes on, at least, there is a point of where you can at least make them equal, maybe?
It opens up a lot more.
It opens up. We'll just say it opens
you
up.
have way more options of managing your MP and regaining it.
Okay. And that's your way of getting through the dungeons, is basically your MP.
Well, the MP is the thing that you can't easily recharge. Or
sorry, yeah. So it's the limiter. Yeah. It's the okay.
It is the limiter.
But one cool thing too, Carrick, just to add on to that, is the synergies between the archetypes. Something we haven't talked about, but depending on which combinations of archetypes you have combo attacks that you can do that are between two characters. Mm-hmm. So you use like one extra action, like in Baldur's Gate had the idea of the actions, right? Mm-hmm. for people. So you can use up the action of another one and do like a combo. So if you
are you using their action too? Sorry, I just want to ask.
Yes.
If okay.
Yeah, you're using their like turn in a way.
I got you.
To do like a combo attack. And sometimes what that means is you can hit now everybody with your elemental magic spell, for example, or do a bigger attack on one guy. And there are lots of combinations. Like if you have two mages, you'll get a cool combination, and they sort of make sense. So if you have something that's like, water and oil that don't mix, you won't get a combo, or you get a shitty combo. But if you have like something that mixes well, you'll get a really good combo. So there are some interesting synergies you explore.
Speaking of the length of games, and we're going to talk directly around metaphor for this super chat, but R Green asks the question, $5 super chat. The voice in my head tells me I don't deserve to be Donkey Kong, which initially didn't know what that meant. But he says, any suggestions for finding time not feeling guilt playing games? I know that we normally say we don't feel guilt, but I do, walking around looking at metaphor and it's sinking in another 300 hours. Is there, like, do you guys feel that if it is, let's say it's 300 hours, do you guys feel like it's 300 hours well spent? Or do you actually feel like maybe a game like this, 300 hours might be, let's say it's 150. Do you guys feel like long-term wise, you might feel a little burned before you get to the end, especially because you both spent a lot of time in Persona? Or do you actually feel like it's different enough that time will be well spent? I mean, at least I know it's early now, but I'm just wondering, is there a worry in your heads that like, because so it is faster?
No, for me.
Okay.
So I'm like 30 hours in. So presumably there's 3 or 4x more hours to go.
Yeah. Or 10x.
But I like the way the dungeons work because you're physically traveling to them as well. And there's an aspect of like you're traveling in your big ship thing that has legs. Yeah.
How's the base work? Do you guys like the base? Oh, sorry. We'll let Reg, same question for Reg before I ask the question about the base. Is there, because it gives, you know how sometimes when things aren't given to you right away, it feels like you're unlocking more and it's actually a little bit more rewarding. Does this one feel like you're getting enough stuff that it won't, do you feel like it might be an issue for you?
Yeah, you more or less constantly get new archetypes you can try out and switch to, see how they work in your party.
And so you don't feel like there'll be an issue?
No.
Okay, that's fair. How's the base? Like, do you base build? Do you, because what is this thing? Is it like a tank tank with?
You have a mobile ship that has legs, so it's physically running with huge giant legs.
And you're controlling it?
No.
Okay. Sorry.
It's
continue.
Going.
Okay.
And then your gang is there, and you travel to places. And if it's far away, you will need to like stop and camp at times and stuff. And then while you're traveling, you get to like bond with your mates and stuff, and like level up your social links and everything. You can do other activities like cook, read, do different things in the ship.
Bond with your mates.
So that's more or less. That sounded, a bit sexual.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean,
can you speed it up? Can you upgrade your wheeled or your footed tank to go faster?
No, but what you have is like teleportation. Mm-hmm. So what ends up happening is, if it's a place you haven't been yet, you have to physically go there with the walker, with the ship. And then once you get there, let's say you do the dungeon, you're done, you can teleport back to the town. Okay. And you can always teleport between the towns you've been to. So you can immediately go visit one follower, and this is something neat too. You have a list of followers you can open, and it will say, hey, this person has like a breakthrough in your link that you can go to today. So you can go there immediately wherever they are, and it's like, fast travel. And then you talk to them and you get that link upgrade. So it's a lot easier to
Do you guys like this better than the school in Persona or your apartment or whatever?
Yeah.
Overall?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, like there were some issues in Persona 5, unless I missed something, like you wouldn't be able to like fast travel directly to some people. You would need to like know where to find them or go to like some place that's nearby and then walk there. So I just felt like this was more direct, and the information about whether you're going to get something out of hanging out with them is more available.
Silver, are you diving into this at any point, do you think?
I might do at some point.
Okay.
I mean, I'm still kind of playing for JRPGs. I'm still kind of on Eiyuden Chronicles. So that's going to be the JRPG I play for a while when I feel like playing a JRPG. But yeah, I might, or maybe I'll wait until the Royal Edition eventually releases. Certainly I'm interested in it because I did enjoy Persona 5 in spite of its issues. So I might well be getting to play it at some point, but not at the moment.
Pretty crazy, man. It's been a wild year. It's like almost any game genre this year has had either a big game or a good game. They're not necessarily obviously connected, but also, it does feel pretty cool.
Just to touch on Art Green's question on feeling guilt about playing games. I think there's still a broad sort of societal perception of sort of shaming games as being a waste of time. And I think it's a question of how the mindset you really approach it with, like asking yourself, why do you play games? Hopefully you get something out of it. Hopefully it's either some kind of release or whatever it is, similar to sitting down and listening to music or enjoying a movie or whatever. And if you view it through that lens and through a sort of a way of self-improving or retaining sanity or whatever in your day-to-day life, I think the guilt will sort of go away from that, because at that point it's not a waste of time. It's a question of why do you play? Like, why do you do anything?
Yeah.
So long as you get something out of it, so long as you extract some kind of value for yourself, it's not going to be a waste of time. It's going to be a solid waste of your use of your time.
Yeah, I agree. Even things like just watching a show, for some people, they judge it as wasting your time. But it's all down to,
like just sitting outside enjoying the sunset, right? I'm not actually doing anything with my time there other than just enjoying and appreciating the sunset and appreciating that moment in time. Yeah. And you can definitely extract value from that.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. I mean, fuck anybody who like has the even ability to fucking say that out loud, because it shows that they haven't grown at all. They don't even understand most of the time their own hobbies are the same way. They have passive hobbies, active hobbies. And then you'll get these jackasses who are like, I can't believe you play games. It's like, what'd you do last night? I got my nails done. Well, then fuck you.
Or I went to the opera. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do all those things, and some I like more than others. But when it comes to the game stuff, we were talking about this yesterday. One of the guys was using a Tinder, kind of profile dating app, and somebody in there, well, I can say who it is, but Solar was talking about this. Somebody in there said, if you play video games, don't contact me, because you're a selfish person. And I was sitting there going like, dude, it takes a next level dumbass, like they've leveled up. They've been playing their own version of stupid Persona for a long time to be so leveled up that they can say that out loud. That is ridiculous. The amount of stupid that's in that comment. It's really weird. And I mean, games used to be that way for a long time because I think people, they did look down on them, but whether it be storytellers, whether it be understanding visual arts, games have their own complete like spectrum of things you can learn from them. And so anybody who has the audacity to say that usually just shows that they're stupid. You don't have to worry about that.
I think especially also in over the past 25 years, where they've become increasingly online and have increasingly built social communities.
Yeah.
And stuff that exist online and that you're a part of and contribute to.
Yeah.
Like that sense of building community, which is, which is also there in ordinary day-to-day life, or what people would call real life, but I don't think is really necessarily any less false just because it exists online. But that's another huge part of it, and forming those relationships.
I mean, we have people who got married over WoW.
Yeah,
World of Warcraft. To me, at this point, we're so far beyond any shaming, and it does happen. It happens a lot less. I think that one of the nice things is like you have movie stars, sports stars,
for sure.
Athletic people. I think were the big plus when you started, and I lived through that time period when athletic people started talking about playing video games, and it did help. That did help because normally I think it was jock versus nerd, and over time. Many jocks have a very particular, including myself, like when I was super into it, you still have a nerd side that comes out when you're done working out, which means sitting back playing some Mario Party or something. I mean, that's like a very normal thing for people to do. And it's nice now that it's changed, but I would say the same thing as like any kind of guilt. I mean, there's something about hobbies that I think people think they need to learn something all the time. Some hobbies are quite literally just for fun. There's nothing wrong with that. And in
fact, you can spoil a hobby by trying to make it into a productive or just to give an example, I used to do this where everything needed to be a video. Like a YouTube video or a thing. And actually, if you let go of that, it can be liberating.
Yeah, and you're going to have to if you're playing a Persona or this game because you won't have time for nothing else.
You won't make a single video.
What other in metaphor? What are the things? Metaphor is still, I still think is the best title for this game because man, people are going to put some time into it. Is there anything else in metaphor that you guys are digging? Does it do anything? I mean, different is a terrible term, but does it do anything unique or different enough that? Maybe you hope it gets picked up by another game? Has there been anything that's popped up that you guys have seen that you're like, oh, I'd like this to be, I mean, is it the stun thing? Does that feel like it's added dramatically to combat where you stun them and push them back?
I certainly like that. So that combination of overworld, like real-time combat going into the turn-based, I think works really well. Yeah, I would definitely like to see that. For example, Yakuza, that's something I thought of. How cool would it be if when you encounter number 1000 random man,
grumpy old man,
it's if you could just like punch them real quick because they're basic enemies instead of going into a full-on turn-based. I know that they added a shortcut in.
They did, but you're talking about
Wealth.
something different. You're talking about
the overworld,
I like your idea where you still interact with them, but because you've got a skill or whatever, you're able to, to sort of pounce on them or something.
I like that a lot. I thought the idea of the archetypes, they do build on some things from Infinite Wealth and like the jobs. The job system is, reminiscent because you have the inheritance of skills between jobs and everything. But the way they did it here, I liked it a lot more than that game. And the fact that you have like one base archetype and then there's a lineage. So these are further, more advanced archetypes you unlock of the same. So it could be knight and then like mage knight, and different. Right. And each will have more advanced abilities and stuff like that. So I really like how it's progressing and how it opens up the more you advance.
I was kind of in Persona as well. From what I remember.
Yeah, but Persona was all about catching the different personas, almost like Pokemon.
Yeah, I think that's what Reg was saying, is he likes the lack of the catching.
Not all, because a huge part of Persona, at least to me, was also fusing them, like going to the guillotines and creating them yourself, and then forging them and inheriting abilities through that, and then sort of trying to create like the perfect persona and engineer like the overpowered ultra persona that would just carry you through the entire game.
I just personally didn't like the mechanic of catching that sort of spoiled the whole thing for me. Reg was saying, the whole thing with like
having to estimate through what they were saying, what personality they have and whatnot. Yeah, engage that. Yeah.
It reminds me of LA Noire when the guy'd say something and be like, doubt or blah, blah, blah. No matter what you chose, you'd be like, well, I mean, they're fidgeting doubt. And they'd be like, no, I was really not there. Here's the proof. And you're like, dude, come on, guys. I don't understand. Like, it doesn't work as well as you think it does. You think it works, but the gamer is going, what in the fuck do you want from me? So it's cool. I'm glad to see it, man. Like I said, it's been, the people who don't like it seem to bounce off pretty quickly. So that'd be a long game to play if you hated. That would be a rough time. Man.
A rough 100 hours.
Right? That would be.
Especially if you hate it, then it feels even longer.
Yeah, exactly. It would be like 1,000 hours is what it would feel like. So it's very cool that for the most part, people who don't like it have bounced off fairly quickly. And the people who do like it seem to like almost everything about it. Even in our chat, I was asking people the games have been playing. A lot of them are playing Metaphor. And almost every single person here, the one thing I thought was interesting was somebody was saying, Dylan was saying he didn't feel that Metaphor is doing anything different at all from past RPGs, but it brings together a lot of good ideas. I would say it does seem to for sure do some stuff different, but I guess different is a bad term. Different really doesn't work as a term because it's different people's level of different. But I get that, and it does. It seems like it took a bunch of stuff from this. What do you call it? From its past games, and it's brought it in and said, "Hey, what works with JRPGs?" And it's got better American voices than Japanese for sure. That's already been proven 100%. So any argument against it is wrong. So you also have that. Just joking. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, one funny thing that I caught myself doing is enunciating the attacks. I've never done this in any game, but because it's really fast, like the turn base is really fast and snappy, and once you know what spells you're gonna use for this combat, it's like you got the algorithm in your head. Right. So I was going like Gabotra, poison shot.
Like, almost like music, almost like.
And I was calling it out. It was awesome.
It'd be nice if you could then lock that to like voice commands then.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Oh, God.
Like the shout in Skyrim. That would be awesome. Yeah. Put a little voice attack in there. That'd be great. Yeah, no, man. It seems like everybody likes this. Very cool. Glad to see it. Again, hoping that this proves to them that, they can branch out. If they want to, they don't have to. I mean, Persona 6 is obviously going to probably do gangbusters, but it definitely works. What's up, Indio? Moving on from there, I want to talk about some news last week that we missed, but I'm just going to cover this really quick. 343 changed their name to basically indicate all things Halo. Also, Unreal is their engine of choice in the future. I think that's awesome. It's a change we'll see. Hopefully they don't add Unreal Stutter as a feature, because I feel like it's so weird, guys, that there's two big things that we've added to our generation of technology that has brought us backwards. We've added Unreal, which is great, and people are able to iterate really quick. You, Johnny and Reg both messed around with Unreal, so have I. You can jump in there as quick or quicker now, maybe than Unity. That's a discussion for another point. But we've added ray tracing, which these cards still aren't great at. And then we've also added stutter. Ray tracing, at least, is a feature you can turn off for the most part. But stutter is a real thing. And we've seen some games get around it, but we've definitely seen a huge number not get around it. So hopefully with Halo, that does not become a thing. Also, I want to point out, people were worried that the gravity in Halo couldn't be mimicked in Unreal. That is untrue. That's a matter of them trying to figure out, like, they'll be able to get that. They will for sure be able to get that. I wouldn't worry about that as much as the gameplay, and if Unreal changes how they do the gameplay, which I hope it doesn't, because I would sort of like a mix of the old Halos and the new one with some more linear stuff as well as the open world versus Infinite, which was, a little too open, I guess. The other one is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero sold 800 million billion copies, doing really well. Awesome to see. Some of the worst menus I've ever seen in my life. Speaking about a game that has amazing menus and seems to entice people with Metaphor, and then you get into Sparking Zero and just switching between fight. You have to, there's these big transitions, and it's like all this almost fake overworld thing. That really sucks, but the gameplay seems to be fairly competent, and, it's a Dragon Ball game. It's going to sell.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody thought it was going to sell this many. As dev guy, immediately is like, tutorials and menus, my God. Yeah, the tutorials in Sparking Cider are terrible.
Cider.
Yeah, Sparking Cider. They are terrible, terrible tutorials. But the game itself, once you get past that and jump in, people seem to dig, man. Selling well.
I heard a lot good about it, dude. Like the way they jump you, they place you into like hype fights more quickly. So like the story is progressing, very quickly. You're almost just on the highlights of each saga.
Yeah, and I don't know Dragon Ball as much as a lot of people. There's 8,000 million billion, episodes, but it does put you into story fights. You can do that kind of stuff where you like mimic fights from the anime, which I thought was really awesome. It was enjoyable to jump into.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's working
like
well.
320 episodes revealing my DBZ geek.
It's only 320. So One Piece is the one that's 8,452 billion. Right?
It's one of those, yeah.
Yeah. And then next up, Until Dawn. So the port came out. It's been patched up. Apparently the patch has fixed a lot of stuff, but Until Dawn came out. Definitely a bad port when you consider ports across the spectrum for Sony. That one got a lot of hate. It did make the game look noticeably worse than the PlayStation 1 in a lot of parts. Changed some look on some characters, did some questionable stuff, when it comes to the tech, that kind of thing. There has been a patch. I know DF, Digital Foundry, I believe, covered the newest patch. I could be wrong on that, but I think that is fixed a lot. I think it's still somewhat problematic in its technical performance. But Until Dawn, currently, I would say, unless you guys go and see something different, if you have the PlayStation, Pro or whatever, might as well just play the port there, at least for now. They also did add some, well, I don't want to, they adjusted some narrative to hint at some things, which I thought was pretty cool. It was not something I expected. I do wish they had just made it run well. Next up, Red Dead Remaster for PC. I don't know about you guys. I'm actually excited for this. I want to play it. How long's it been, man? Like...
centuries,
I think. Right?
It feels like centuries. Yeah, it's been forever.
Almost.
And the rumors and pretty much, sort of now not rumors was that it was a mess internally and they just didn't think that they could do it. I will admit though, guys, I was really hoping this was going to be in the Red Dead 2's engine. I mean, that's too much to ask, I guess, but I would have died if that was
completely
true.
Remade from the ground up.
In that engine. Oh, that would have been awesome. But it's not as sim heavy as that old as 2.
Because I heard the original was held up by, what's the phrasing?
Oh, you mean it? Well, there's multiple phrases, but you mean like sticks and glue? You mean in the background,
yeah,
or something like that?
Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah,
Scotch tape.
Yeah. It was in bad shape behind the scenes, so it was just a different. I mean, we saw that in the game itself. By the way, you'd be playing that game, and even when it was all working, you'd see a horse jettison into the sky. It wasn't cyberpunk bad, but it definitely had some issues. Next up for quick news, Silent Hill 2 doing fantastic. Who's playing Silent Hill 2 here? All right. So, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so I'm 10 hours in, which I think is maybe around 50% of the story. I'm not sure, just going by the estimates. So I have mixed feelings because I absolutely love the atmosphere, and I've always enjoyed in these survival games, like exploring the rooms and seeing the kind of like the, dirty and lived in areas when it's done well. This one does it really well. Like, for example, there's a hospital location I've been exploring. That's fantastic. It's got lots of grimy details. Very, very cool. The story is, completely puzzling. At first, they tell very little, right? And I think, I was telling you, Carrick, I think it's going to be one of those things, as someone who hasn't played the original games.
Right.
They're only going to let you in on what's going on towards the end, probably, and then everything is going to make sense and connect together. So far, it's like you're thrust into this hostile area. The only thing you know is like, hey, your dead wife sent you a letter, right? And you think she's there. That's it. That's the only thing you're armed with. Everything else you have to start piecing together.
I love your optimism about the ending, man.
It comes together at the
dude, I got your back, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
I gotta see it through, man.
Hope you're right.
And But so that's the positive. But I really dislike the combat. I was telling you, it has the Alan Wake shuffle. So the dodge, instead of being a dodge, is like it's a suggestion. It's like, hey, consider dodging this attack. And sometimes the attacks will track on you, like the ogre from Sekiro, in a weird way. Like the enemies will just sort of almost teleport on you a little bit sometimes and still hit you with the head bob. So anyway, some annoying, weird inconsistencies there for me to really love the combat. I've even played around with the difficulty, and the most I've enjoyed has been actually bringing it down. So I have to engage less with the combat and just enjoying the atmosphere and the story. But yeah, just something to be aware that even though it's a remake, it's got some jank in the combat.
Yeah, I think the combat was what put me off with the game mainly back in the day as well.
Back in the day, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think they've done some, you know how we saw Dead Rising try to repair some of its combat in the remake?
Yeah.
It feels like they've tried to do a little bit here. What I did like about this game, and what I think is great about this game, is that they basically switched it around so that a person who has played it might have to go a different route to unlock a puzzle than they did in the old game. That's something I can genuinely get behind. Like that, when you're doing a remaster or remake, either one, that putting a little, rubbing a little dirt on it and changing things up makes it just a one step above for a person who wants to go back and replay it. Graphically, it looks phenomenal, at least from what I've seen. I thought I thought that game looked really good. It did have some stutter. There was definitely some issues there with performance, but overall, I thought, what are you playing it on? PC?
PC, on a 3090. And regardless of settings, which there aren't many, that's another complaint.
Oh, ouch. Okay.
You don't have a lot of settings to dial in, but still, regardless of what I did, I still got some stutters. Not enough to ruin a moment or anything, but definitely noticeable. Pretty consistent.
Reg, are you going to do Silent Hill too?
Yeah, me as the known horror game
Spooky,
fan. No.
Spooky Reg.
What about you, Silver?
No.
No? Okay. So, I mean, overall, it looks like it's doing well, reported to be somewhat performant overall on the console, but a little less from what I understand on the PC. The thing is, dude, everybody wonders whenever I'm doing a review, when I talk about the curve of power, I'll be like, on a 4090, it does this, on the 2080, it does this. And I had somebody who was just mad. They said something like, oh, you're just flaunting your financial worth that you have a 4090. And I'm all, if I was, I would feel embarrassed, because the number of games that do not feel performant on a 4090 is quite high. The number of games, like, I would feel like an idiot at that point. I would be like, dude, this is not money well spent. It's some of these games can look at Frostpunk 2. Like, it was bringing luckily they patched that, but that was bringing super powerful systems, to really low FPS. And of course, DLSS is sort of the stopgap, right? We're starting to see that come up more. But if you're getting 28 FPS and you DLSS that up to 40 to 60, it's still running at 28 in the background. You're still going to, whether it be, you notice the input latency or something like that, you're still going to notice some of those issues. So, no, I mean, I want to see more and more take advantage of the new systems, but they're always trying to make sure that they can get a person in there with a 1060 or something. It could look like shit if you did, but they want to make sure you can. Some people are talking about COD. Packley says 1 million copies sold to date. Hero on Business, $8 super chat. What's up, podcastees? Good to see you all in the same place again. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate the super chat. They help the channel for sure, especially now when things are so weird on YouTube. I think we've got things mostly solidified. Looking at my old news, Halo, Silent Hill, Red Dead. Looks like we covered most of the old news.
I got some fresh news, though.
Let's go. Yeah, that was the old news. Go for it.
Space Marine 2, big patch, new mission. I'm not sure if this is already called technically the Season 2, but it has some of the Season 2 stuff they talked about. So new map for operations. I think that's it. That's the main new thing. But
no, there's also one new difficulty.
Yes, a new difficulty, lethal difficulty, which apparently, it's lethal based on the reports.
Yeah.
So, and it's been received really poorly, actually, this patch.
Yeah.
Because they nerfed a bunch of stuff, and people have been comparing it to the Helldivers situation where they went on and nerfed a bunch of things. And they didn't buff anything necessarily that felt weak either. So it just felt like they nerfed a bunch of stuff that people enjoyed. And they added a new mechanic that people are hating. That's like a cohesion mechanic, meaning you need to be close to your teammates in order to be able to get armor back. So
I
like
think
in the
that's
normal...
only on Ruthless though,
No.
on Lethal difficulty though. The new one, isn't it?
No, that's everywhere. I'm pretty sure. I'll double check.
Well, while you're double checking, let me say something, man. This is the shit we've been bitching about for a while, which is that changing everything in a patch, it just doesn't make a ton of sense, man. You get all of these changes, and if they don't resonate, that it doesn't matter what good you do. They added a whole new operation. So there's a whole new mission. Nobody's talking about that. They're all talking about how, it's like Helldivers this, Helldivers that, of course, for the difficulty, and that sucks. Also, they're stating it where Helldivers has a tendency to switch a lot at the same time. But Helldivers is a different style of game, man. It's a different style of game. And with Space Marine 2, they patched it, and it became too easy. I think most people felt that. We even saw a huge drop-off. I was doing statistics for the ACG Discord, and we were having an average of about 60 people streaming it or playing it at any one time. And then it got patched, and within 1 day of it being patched, it was 12. And it stayed at 12. And that's because the difficulty had dropped off. We even had people who really, 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 really liked it, who were starting to drop off because they didn't feel the challenge was there. And for those, you know how it is, grinding, for some people, the difficulty does need to be a little high. They don't necessarily always want to, ghost through a game and not be impacted. I wish these companies wouldn't fucking do it. I don't know. Those guys know what they're doing. They do a bunch of patches on stuff. They've got World War Z, which they've done great. I have some confidence that they'll fix it pretty quickly. But I think, like you said, Johnny, with, you got to be closer, all that, that's just too much. There's just too many things. If you add a difficulty, let the new difficulty handle all that. Be like, this difficulty is new. Maybe put experimental next to it.
I have to correct myself there. That is only lethal difficulty. But the problem with that is it makes some classes really unplayable. For example, Sniper is really meant to be, having the main guys there in the mix, and then you're sort of far back, right? Like you're repositioning all the time. And having to be super close to everybody will make it really punishing for some of these classes.
We'd suck because the way we played, the way you and I played,
it's a terribly implemented difficulty.
Lethal.
I did not enjoy it at all. It also, like Johnny mentioned, it introduces the cohesion mechanic, which really doesn't work well. It really punishes player creativity and player solutions to engagements.
Yeah, creativity. I like that because it's forcing you into.
It's
this exact play style.
It confines you a lot. And it also just gets too gratuitous. Like, it doesn't really. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think it increases health of enemies. But it does spawn in a hell of a lot more specials. You can get 4 or 5 specials spawning at once now. So you can get like 4 lictors at once. And there are only 3 of you.
So they didn't increase the health. You're right, Silver. What they did is that the elite enemies can now become enraged, and then they do have more health and they deal more damage. So that's like a state they can go into. They also, by the way, they nerfed the parry window of the fencing weapons, which is what everybody uses. So it just doesn't feel good, because that's such a crucial part of the gameplay, the parrying. That's your bread and butter. And if now you can't reliably parry like you did before, or it just feels different, it's going to feel bad. Because you're so used to that window, right? You've become like playing 50 times the operations. Like you've become so used to that same window.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, it's a bad. I mean, whether we call it a bad patch or not, I don't know if it's that far. I would just say it's definitely misaligned with what players expected, and it's been brought up so many times. It's obviously an issue, and then it's caused them to be. I still wish Steam review, there was a way for them to track just the DLC or just the update having it versus like review bombing, which is just a trash way of feeding back for the gamer too, not just like negative towards the company. I'm saying I would like to see a way to really focus it. And so overall though, I do have some confidence they'll fix it pretty quick because those guys do that. But it's funny, I was talking to Turum, who is definitely the expert in their games. Like when you play with Turum, I mean, everything's maxed out. He's played it to the end. He knows where every item is. And it's ridiculous how much he's played their games in particular. And, just talking with him, they do stumble a bit on their patches. It's sort of expected for them. Like that, you're going to get a bad patch, somewhat good patch, then you'll get a more stuff patch, then you'll get a fix patch. So it's sort of, for them, this is, I guess I would say, a little bit expected. I was always worried about this because we've all talked about this on the podcast in the last couple of months many times, where the patches come in for a lot of these games. And you're like, I think the recent one was obviously we were talking a lot about was Helldivers.
Overcorrect. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I dislike mostly is the overcorrection aspect, because we had it in the prior patch, which was
making it too easy.
The difficulty. Yeah, it kind of got a bit too easy. Now they're kind of going all the way. I don't know. They're changing so much. Like you said, it will be very difficult to dissect what is working, what isn't, because too many things.
As I just asked Reg if he was going to play it a little while ago, and then we just unsell it to him. We're like, the patch is
like you, I
terrible.
have full confidence that it's going to land in a great spot. And it sounds like the new map is awesome, by the way. So that's great.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
New map, where does it come in? Just real quick, Silver, where does the new map come in the line of 5 or whatever they had? Is it in the middle?
It's in Kadaku. It's a Tyranid map.
Okay. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
It's the jungle planet. Just you mentioned Helldivers. Helldivers actually had its big update this week as well. The end of the 60-day sort of reformation that they promised. The change or redemption arc that they wanted to sort of turn the game around, where they changed a bunch of stuff for Helldivers as well. They fixed some stuff, at least in the patch notes. I haven't had time to fully confirm it yet, but they have changed stuff like bot line of sight, so that now the automatons can't necessarily see you know where you are, and can see you through rocks and are shooting through rocks with pinpoint accuracy.
That's good.
the heavy devastator, who's that with the automaton with the heavy repeating the chain gun, fully automatic heavy repeating rifle, has had his reload speed, recharge time increased, so you have more of a window to hit him after he's done firing. And some other stuff has sort of been rejiggered. Some weapons have been buffed again as well. It is a lot easier again than it used to be, but I think it's still in a decent enough place where it's still, especially because you still have those higher difficulties you can go to, where it becomes more problematic and more challenging. So I think the challenge is still there. It's still fun, but I mean, I've had fun with that game the entire year. Right? Yeah. I've enjoyed it. I've been one of the people who have enjoyed it throughout, even when people were complaining about the nerfs. I still had fun. I still enjoyed it. I still do. I still think that game is in a very good place. I'm really interested to see what they do with they've started construction of a space station now that the community is apparently going to be able to vote on where to deploy it, and it's going to be able to deploy and use special abilities for that planet then, and maybe galaxy-wide buffs and whatnot. It's going to be really interesting to see how they implement that stuff. It's I think Helldivers is in a really good place now. Players seem to be returning to it. Players who were unhappy seem to be much happier with the game. So it'll be interesting to see how that patch is generally received with the community from this week on.
Next up, I was asked to give like a brief summary on MechWarrior. So MechWarrior clans, MechWarrior 5 clans, I reviewed that. Is that this week? Yeah.
Yeah.
My thoughts are, you know, I think Game Pass is a really good way. I think, you know, I saw some people really dinging on it. Definitely like really hammering on it. And then I saw some people higher, but I was surprised by even lower dings because when I was playing it, I was, you know, there's some stuff I like, but there's definitely some issues with it. I think when you're looking at MechWarrior 5 clans, if you came out of Mercenaries, I know that Reg and Johnny, I believe, tried to play Mercenaries and the co-op wasn't available right away. Wasn't that Mercenaries that had that happen to you guys? Where you guys
we had to do several missions, and there was a failure state where, like, if you failed a mission, you needed to redo an entire, like, 20-30 minute thing before you even got to the co-op.
So with this one, luckily there isn't that. Basically, it tells the entire story of, you know, the Jaguar clan and the invasion. But I will say that when it comes to my personal thoughts on it, when you decide you're going to do a narrative game, you know, a narrative story, especially around MechWarrior, and then you look at how that, in particular, how that narrative is drawn out, you have to have some pretty engaging characters. They chose Jaguar, and one of the problems is they don't use contractions. So everything in their speech patterns, so everything is like cannot, it's not can't, it's that kind of stuff. When that's spoken for a long period of time, it's pretty like, it's not personal. It's a little bit harder to dive into. And then the characters just didn't really crack for me. There just wasn't a lot going on with the characters. And the storyline itself, there's a lot of cool stuff for the storyline that I think would have been more engaging had it been just maybe a different clan. I know that sounds weird, but I feel like the clan itself just didn't speak to me. The actual characters themselves didn't speak to me. I enjoyed it for what it was, but there was a lot about it that just did not hit. And then the combat, the graphics went to Unreal. That looks good. They did some stuff there, but it still has a lot of the same problems we saw in the original game. So like you'll shoot an enemy, and sometimes when you kill them, they just pop up in the air like a marionette is pulled on a strings, and it's the oddest disconnect between what you expect when you see these graphics and then like the decals on characters. You shoot them and sometimes it's just like a black mark on it, and it needs a level of destruction that isn't near Forza or
just
maybe,
like a boo-boo.
It's like exactly. And I was firing missiles at the ground. It just left little tiny holes, you know, with like a pretty basic level decal. There was a lot of these graphical anomalies, but that didn't really affect me too much. Gameplay wise, it was pretty fun. You can jump between mechs, lickety split, which worked really well, especially because the AI is somewhat smarter, but they have a tendency to not understand that they're in battle. So they're still firing at the enemy, but if you're firing, the number of times they just saddle right through your line of fire. And I have a tendency to set up most of my weapons to be one powerful hit. I love that. I love to run around, and then if I get one, and I'm telling you the number of times I blew apart one of my own guys, or all that energy was wasted shooting his back because he was running, and I was like, boom, boom, and you'd be hitting the guy in front of you instead of the enemy. That sucked. But I think they patched it up a little bit. I'm hoping for more. It's Game Pass, so hey, you can always jump on Game Pass. But for a title that's going away from having so much, this is a linear one, meaning when you're done, there's a couple things you can do. I can't talk too much about them. They've asked us to not really say some of the stuff, but there's some stuff that goes on at the end that I think would allow for somebody to replay it. Also, when it comes to outfitting, I loved Mercenaries, the outfitting of stuff. This one doesn't really even have comparisons. So if you jump into the marketplace to buy something, you're like, now what was I trying to buy? Was I trying to buy a weapon I can use in a second with a different mech, or the weapon for the mech I have now? So then you go back to the mech, you look at it, and then you go, okay, that's what I was trying to do. Then you go back into the store. It doesn't really have a good comparison system. And in a game built around building things as packages, pretty raw.
Has to be there.
Pretty raw, yeah.
Do you think, I'm curious, because you play a lot of these mech games, do you think this is the right direction with like having a story that's taking you through the progression? Or do you prefer the more like just mission-based,
I like the story with open world stuff that you can do. I think both is the sweet spot. I do not think just story is a sweet spot, and I certainly don't think just open is a sweet spot at all. I do not feel that just open is a sweet spot. I think that a lot of people lose any narrative push, where this one definitely had a push. It's just you have to care. And when...
Because
Go ahead.
In Armored Core, I didn't have that push. I just felt like, it's just another mission. Mm-hmm. And to be blunt, like some of them were so short that I spent more time in the menu sometimes than in the actual mission. You would go in and it would be like, 2-3 minutes, super quick, which is fine. But I just, it got to a point where it's like, oh, it's just another mission. I didn't really feel a sense of
Armored Core in particular was rough.
progression.
Armored Core was in particular really fast for your missions. Like,
Abbreviated
review says Mercenaries was weird because I had like 2 story missions in the middle and 2 at the end with infinite procedural in the middle. I think that's a fair assessment of how Mercenaries played out. Moving on to some questions real quick. I want to know the Silk Road patron for 6 years. Thank you. He says, Carrot, can we see a studio tour? I know you don't use your background anymore from your real home if you want, naturally, of course. No, my studio is a disaster. I don't have a studio. I have a bedroom that I share. So it's not much other than some screens and some wires that I plug the camera in, then unplug it, then plug in the other stuff for the podcast, then unplug that, then plug stuff in for the review. So it is not naturally a place to show you anything. Also, that's not my job. I know Johnny has this, so I don't want to, I'm not teasing this, but I don't need the isometric camera in a corner flashing down on me with a perfect background. It's not what I do. It's that sort of a Twitch thing, which Johnny was on Twitch. It makes more sense as somebody on Twitch, and we're seeing it more on YouTube as well. But if I want to say something, I don't really care that my background is perfect. It's never going to be, I'm never going to have a studio, I don't think. I just don't think it makes sense for me to have a studio. That would be another room, and I'd be in that room all the time. Sounds weird, but being in the bedroom is sort of nice, because if you do have, my wife will come in, we'll start talking. Even during podcasts in the Discord, we'll start talking. You mute, you talk.
The only cool thing would be if you did have a room, you could have like a bunch of those metal posters you've been getting.
Well, I have a background where, I don't know if you remember, I had the background. Yeah. I took a picture of it from the view of the webcam. I remember. And then had it as my background. That way I wouldn't have to put that back up. So yeah, I can always do that, because I do have some cool disc plates. Well, not them, but I have some cool metal plates like the Warhammer one.
Yeah, like the one you did for Space Marine.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yacht says, what do you guys think that everybody else on the podcast would ever be arrested for? Would be arrested for?
We're not really like...
Silver would be arrested for like some kind of going out on the street and fighting against...
Oh, like protesting?
Protesting, yeah. Silver would be arrested for protesting.
Yeah.
For sure. Probably. Reg for a hack of some kind that he wasn't supposed to do. Reg would be caught. We'd find out Reg was like the creator of Bitcoin. I think that and then Johnny would be arrested for
like playing guitar too loud. I got into trouble one time.
Disturbing the peace.
Yeah.
Did you in your place, really?
Yeah. But also I had like angry neighbors. They didn't even ask me to lower the volume.
Oh, they went and told.
They just called someone. Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have just, let me know, because I didn't know it was that loud.
Yeah, those kind of people are shits.
To be fair, I did know it was pretty loud. I've learned since.
I like that. To be fair, I was being a dick. It was super loud, and I deserved getting in trouble. But how dare they? The next question.
Carrick would probably do something silly on Ambient, like, I don't know, streaks through the streets naked.
Oh God!
Ask for eggnog or something.
Would like kick someone's tree and like destroy part of it.
Yeah, I'd be out there like just buck naked, yelling that I wanted eggnog at the top of my lungs. I could definitely say. It would be
a huge jar of cheesy snacks or whatever.
Oh, dude, the cheese balls.
Yeah, the cheese
Catch
balls,
me at Costco stealing cheese balls. Seabear404 says, have you guys ever done a video cover? Oh, no, Seabear says, have you ever done a video covering behind the scenes on video creation? I think it'd be cool to see how you select the footage. Same question is open to everyone here. I'm loving Johnny Plays Garen series for Demacia.
Yo, Demacia.
Demacia. And I would say behind the scenes on video creation, we do that in the podcast, Sea Bear. A lot of times when we're in the voice chat, I've done that. But that's more of a patron thing versus like uploading a video and having 1% of people watch it. Like it's just Nizacho says Carrick is the Oregon version of the Florida man. That might be the perfect description right there. Zaxby says, guys, what's the largest living land animal that you could realistically kill with a single punch? What the fuck?
With a single punch?
The largest living land animal you could kill with a single punch?
I'm thinking of something tiny, like a squirrel. Like,
yeah, if you got
don't
like
get me wrong, I do some, I definitely work out throughout the week, but I'm not like built or anything, so I couldn't kill anything big.
Guys, this reminds me of when Solar asked how many kindergartners could you take out if they came effortlessly through a door and never stopped. And you just, and I was like, what the fuck, man?
That's amazing.
It depends on if I had a protein bar, like you just put your hand out and stop them.
Did you have 2 eggs or did you have like pancakes?
Yeah, exactly. Like, are you going to have long-term energy? Or are you going to have that spike where you're taking out like a good 100 and then it starts to peter off as you have that sugar drop? One Nagel says, New York Comic Con was last weekend. Do you guys enjoy attending conventions? Reg has attended Gamescom, right?
Yes.
And
twice.
You enjoyed that big time, didn't you?
Yeah, that was certainly an experience. Yeah.
Did you?
I don't have to go again, but it was interesting to go there. Yeah.
What was that? What was your big draw for going? Just a experience, or was there a particular thing for Gamescom?
No, just experiencing like a huge game con like that.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Leipzig, isn't it?
It was. I'm not sure where it is now.
But it's big, right? I believe that's one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest one. I think it's the
world's biggest,
I think it is.
But I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It was certainly the biggest in Europe back then.
Yeah.
Well, 2 could be the biggest in Europe, but I'm just joking. When it comes to, just teasing, I believe, as Ben says, Cologne, as I like to call it, Cologne now.
Cologne.
So it's in Cologne. Yeah, Reg went twice. So he went once and then went back. I mean, it can't be that bad if he went twice, right? Yep. Was it expensive to, like, what was it? Was it hotels that were expensive, or is a ticket expensive to go in? Do you remember?
Not particularly. And we had someone to stay with in in Leipzig, where it was when we went.
Yeah. And Johnny, have you gone to any events?
No.
And we can spread this to comics, or it doesn't just have to be games. Have you gone to any like music events, or have you ever gone to music festivals, Johnny? Like a big music festival?
I've gone to concerts, not like full-on festivals, but I've gone to several concerts.
Who's the biggest concert? Do you know?
Like Red Hot Chili Peppers, that type of stuff. Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
Foo Fighters, Green Day, Sum 41.
Green Day.
Yeah, you can tell I was more into punk back at, my younger years, like My Chemical Romance before they broke up, that type of stuff. Yeah, so mostly in Spain, actually.
All right. What about you, Silver? Have you gone to any Comic Cons, video cons?
I've never gone to like Comic Con or something. The closest I've gotten to that has been book conventions or literary conventions that I've attended. But I have attended a lot of conventions over the years, everything from like job conventions to medical conventions to the literary conventions and stuff. I'm not a huge fan of them. I'm not a huge fan of like large crowds in general. So I'm usually not super comfortable in those settings. But sometimes it's enjoyable. Sometimes you get to meet people. Like I met at a book convention, I met Don Rosa, who's you guys probably don't know, but is a well-known here in Europe comic book artist who illustrated Donald Duck cartoons or comic books in the like early 90s up through to the early 2000s here in Europe. That became really, really popular. He illustrated The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, which is an iconic series. I got to meet him, have him sign a couple of books, shake his hand, and tell him thank you and whatnot. That was a really nice moment. So yeah.
Have you guys ever dressed up? I'm just curious, like either cosplay or dressing up as a character for these things?
Not really for a convention, but for other stuff. Yeah.
What sort of things?
I don't know. The way he mentioned that.
Not for
the
that.
way Silver's like, I've dressed up for stuff, but not for conventions.
Yeah, other things.
Furry convention.
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
No, nothing so interesting, unfortunately.
Damn it. I did. I've seen a bunch of concerts: Tool, Monster Magnet, Fear Factory, Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie was cool. That was over the top. That guy's touring setup is immaculate. Old rock and roll bands, Def Leppard, some of the old ones. I'd like to go to more. And then like Reg, I've gone to a couple events, but also like Reg, I can live vicariously through my own memories. So if I go once, I'm sort of on that line of, I would love to go to see other people and meet a game company, but I'm not a big meet and greeter. Like Fighting Cowboy, I'd love to meet. Like somebody random, right? That would be great. Oh, you're going, I'm going. A lot of the people I know in the game industry, I would love to go meet for a one-on-one. But a lot of it now is just networking. And I actually know a lot of people go and they don't even go to look at the games. They're like all networking together. Yeah. And to me, that is the
Spend more time in the hotel rooms. Basically.
Yeah. And the time I spent with the Vermintide guys and stuff like that, I've talked about it endlessly, so I'm not going to continue. But those were the best. And I would love to meet them again. But going to an entire event here on the West Coast, it's expensive. It's ridiculous how expensive it can get. And I just usually can't foot it. Or if I could, I start to rethink it. You know, it's almost like Johnny was saying, where in the past he thought everything he did had to be a video. If I go to an event, I start going, everything I do has to be, and it just, it ruins the fun of just saying, hey dude, how have you been? You
gotta start accepting the Disney trips, Carrick. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you mean to play preview games? No.
Right?
I'll accept it. Well, I won't accept a trip. I'll pay for myself to go play a game for sure. But yeah, I'm not accepting any of those. You know why? Because you're tied in. If you pay yourself, you can ignore everything. They'll be like, hey, we'd love for you to go blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, oh, flight comes in late. Can't do that. Even though you're lying. You're like, it's too bad. I'll be there just for the game though. You know, I don't need to go to Disneyland.
I'm more spoiled in that sense, in that my little neighbor is like the biggest convention center in the entire country.
Oh, so if you did want to go, you could go pretty easily?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, my closest is about eight hours away. It's fun drive. You know, I love driving,
8 hours?
so that's, yeah.
Holy
it's one state away, which, yes, the states are that big.
You gotta stop at least like twice for, you know. Damn, you just tuck it in and like.
You do. You tuck it in. You make sure to push out that pee before you leap in the car, because we're those the people I go with are the type that don't want to stop.
You go with nappies. You're just like,
okay, we're not cretins. We're not wiping our asses while we're driving the car.
Just saying, you gotta be practical, man.
Got a little Johnny potty, as they used to be called here, where you can just pee while you're driving. No.
Or like here, everybody that drives Uber, they have like a bottle they pee in and stuff. Here you get ticketed. If let's say you need to pee, you stop the car to go into a pub or something to pee, very often you'll get a ticket in your car because you can't stop anywhere.
Are you saying when you get in an Uber, there might be a bottle of pee in the front somewhere?
Pretty much 10 out of 10 times. And I've talked to many Uber drivers about this. Yeah, this is pretty much like comes with the job, I'd say.
Alp says, what qualifies as an event? Rally racing, super fun, not expensive at all. That would definitely be an event. Rally racing would be amazing. I would love to do rally racing. Well, I wouldn't want to be on the edge. We've seen those examples of bad times when somebody's on the edge of the rally race.
Oh, dude.
They get a car rolling over.
Eat a car?
Like eat a car? You mean the car eats you? I don't know. But yeah.
What I'm thinking is it's almost like cycling. You can be in like a cool place, and then when they come by, you'll see it, but that's the only moment you get to see it. Yeah. So it's not much of like, you're not really watching the race, you know?
Yeah, those would be fun though.
Oh, there they are, and they're gone.
Monster truck race would be amazing because they're short. They're in smaller coliseums, and they're short. They're loud. They're big.
Because I guess like NASCAR. That's why people like it.
But NASCAR is pretty goddamn huge. So the idea, so like if something happens with a monster truck stuff is usually in slightly smaller Coliseum, so you can see it
like a Coliseum.
But what I was going to get to is monster trucks are big, and there's only usually 2 or 3 on at one time, so it's much easier to parse what's occurring than like NASCAR with 15 cars in a wreck, and you're like you can't see it because it's on the other side, or you can't see it as well.
Yeah,
but or F1 where
I don't know why in my head NASCAR is like this tiny
NASCAR. They're crank the steering wheel to the left.
Yeah.
No, it's not like that. Not like that. The Deagle says been to a monster truck jam event before. Pretty sick. One truck did a backflip. Yeah, that's like man.
Oh, wow.
When we used to watch it, the trucks would just slowly drive over cars, and now with the technology advances, backflips. Rolling, like it's become true extreme sport kind of stuff.
Right.
Speaking of extreme sports, I reviewed a monster truck game, Super Jam. What was that? 2 months ago. Sorry. That was actually a pretty enjoyable game. I'm pretty happy to see the ATV / motorbike / monster truck redneck stuff becoming more popular. I'm
not going to lie though. When you started explaining what you were doing in the gameplay, which was like, you're like controlling wheels separately and stuff.
Both wheels separately.
My brain started to explode trying to parse that information. Like, what do you mean? So you're driving the same, but at the same time, you have the mental stack to also be like, let me, adjust this wheel.
Yeah, they can do some pretty crazy stuff. It's always fun to watch. Also, did you guys see that 700 Ubisoft France folks walked out for that 3-day strike today? It looks like.
Oh,
yeah.
So that'll occur, and then they'll go back in, and probably nothing will happen. But hey, they did it. I don't know how much that impacts anything. Then there was also sort of a 55th expose on Star Citizen. I don't know why anybody reports on Star Citizen anymore. Like that, it's surprising.
I saw some crazy numbers. I mean that they've raised total this week, but I mean that has been the story throughout the whole.
Since before we all started the podcast.
Yes.
Right.
Right? Isn't that what's even more amazing? Like,
yes,
it
is.
Yeah. It's just, it's its own thing. And I'm actually sort of okay with it. I mean, it's doing its own thing and it's doing it away. I mean, you're still getting to play it, which I'm on the bad end right now of a Kickstarter for an RPG game that they basically are changing everything. They don't communicate. And now they push back the time. So it's like pretty, and it's way more than it was for Star Citizen. Star Citizen, I can play for hours right now, completely enjoy it. And so, like, when you look at that game, whether we like it or not, that's a full game being made. It's being made, but it's not even the most expensive game made, which is also incredible that it's been eclipsed as the most expensive game made. So it's just like,
has it?
Yeah.
By what?
GTA 4 now has been reported as being more. GTA 5.
6.
And then 6 is already well past it by a good amount. And there's other games which surprised me. Concord's 300 million, if you believe the number, 300 million lower. But when you look at that game, you're just like, really? So those numbers don't make a lot of sense.
The only thing I dislike about it is that you have the option to pay like real money for ships. I would like to be able to earn ships. I don't know if you can.
You can. Yeah, you can earn all the ships.
That's good.
Yeah, you can. But I mean, it's sort of like, it is what it is. It started so early, Johnny, that I think they've sort of set the rules for others to do better, if that makes sense. Like, what I mean by that is a company like myself, if I was going to make a space game and do the same thing, I could look at that game and go, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, learn from some things.
I want to,
but I would say they're not cheating anyone because they're pretty upfront with what you're getting if you get into it. Like,
other than the date having moved by like.
Yeah, the date has moved, but that's every Kickstarter, I want to say.
I feel like
almost.
Yeah. I hate Kickstarter, man. I don't know why I did it, by the way.
Some have been great, but
maybe it was Ambien, as Reg said. I don't know what happened, but I was up late, and I really liked the idea of what they were doing. And then recently, they posted this thing where they're like, about 6 months ago, we replayed it and decided to change all the rules. And I was like, fuck, you guys, we're redoing everything, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm done. I mean, the money's spent, right? You're never getting it back. I did ask them to get a refund. They said no. And then Kickstarter doesn't do or rarely does refunds because they're pretty much of the opinion that that money's gone. That's sort of the way it is. By the way, I just saw this. Space Marine 2 has sold 4.5 million copies. That's done really well for them. I wonder if that's above World War Z, because I haven't checked World War Z's numbers.
I would imagine it is.
You think that's better even after all this time? You think it's sold more? Okay, yeah. I mean, I'll go with that. I'm not going to look it up, but I would assume as well that it's probably sold more. That is crazy numbers. So let's talk a little bit about crazy numbers. Reg doesn't just go to Japan. He decides to live there for a month. We'll call it living there.
True.
You land in Japan. What's the first thing you did? Straight to the motel, or did you go straight to the Love Hotel?
We had to pretty much go straight towards the train station to continue, because we started in Hiroshima with our trip, but the flight landed in Tokyo, so we had to take public transport to the train, to the Shinkansen, long distance train, and then drive, I think it was like 2.5 hours to Hiroshima, and only then we were at the first hotel.
And then we talked about a bunch of this stuff, but I want to repeat a couple things. So you were saying, so explain the wet nap thing, or I'm calling them wet nap. But so, dude, so that people understand what was going on, they don't have soap in most of the restrooms.
Yes,
is what you were
correct.
saying. For the most part, you can you can wet your hands and dry them, no soap. But then soap is sold in stores.
Them. You can wet your hands.
They didn't have air dryers in a lot of them. Okay,
no.
And
so
then
just
you go
the wet part.
Yeah, just the wet part. But they have towels everywhere, he was saying. Like whenever you sit down or
so they do have a lot of public restrooms, like a lot. The coverage is very good. And none of them cost anything. But the ones that are outside shopping malls, etc., they only have like a toilet and running water, and that's it. No soap, no towels, no hand dryer, any of that stuff. So what a lot of, pretty much I think all Japanese people do, they have like a little towel with them, their own private towel to dry their hands, and a little bit of soap to, wash their hands when they're somewhere. That's also being sold at the convenience stores because of that. In shopping malls, etc., it's the same as here. It's fully suited with soap and hand dryers and everything, but it's outside of those.
I like the idea that all the Japanese people are running around like a quarterback in an NFL game with a towel in front of them. They're just like drying their hands and shit. But you were also saying it was super cheap, right? Everything was super cheap food-wise.
Well, at least for us, it's everything's very cheap. I think the yen decreased in value by 25% the last 5 years or so. So at the current state, it's everything's very affordable. Like the cheapest hotel we were in, hotel is not quite correct. We rented apartments, like vacation apartments, with a cooking area, fridge, bathroom, etc., everything in it. And the cheapest one was in Kyoto, which cost for the whole room 55 euros a night.
A night? Damn.
Which, is quite okay. The most expensive ones for us was in Tokyo, and biggest city. Then it was 105 a night.
And did they care if there's multiple people in there? Do they do the upcharge if there's 2 people?
They ask you how many there are first, and all of them say like no parties, no blah 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 blah, because you're still supposed to behave like it was a regular Japanese flat, so don't be too loud. Food, etc., going out to eat, very affordable. Regular, a full meal with everything on top costs about $6.
Even in the tourist areas?
Yeah. There are some super touristy areas where they do try to hike the prices, but we really weren't there.
Right.
You were asked, Alpsa says, honestly, highlights. Also, what was the weirdest thing you saw?
The weirdest things I would say is there was apparently one time we were around, what was it? like a Lolita convention or something. So we we saw some people dressed up running around towards that convention.
As like little girls or something.
So
also,
that's the weirdest part we saw.
Also, you explain to these guys the when you went into a store, everything was quiet. You walk out in the middle of something. Do you know the story?
Oh yeah. Okay, that part. Right. We went into a shopping store. The stores usually are just a whole building, 8 floors high, and 1 or 2 basements. And it's always stacked full with people. You always have to navigate through everything. So after we came out, after, I don't know, an hour or so, we came to a street parade that just happened. I don't know if what the occasion was, but there were dancers and music and police like making sure that people kept their distance, and then they just paraded through.
Yeah, and then somebody's asking if you saw any Yakuza places in person or picked up.
I saw a couple places that very much looked like the ones in Yakuza with like the big gates and everything. Mm-hmm. So yeah, some places that looked like it. I have no clue if they were, but yeah.
And then you went to Shibuya Junction,
yes,
right? Like that big crossing or whatever. Yeah, the iconic Persona one.
Yeah. There was a demonstration there against, I think, atomic weapons or something. So there was a lot of police cars, like a ton of police cars there at that moment when we were there.
And we were joking about you. You had said everything in the police is super small. Their cars were super small. Their guard offices or whatever.
So the first time we went by a construction site and I looked inside what was going in there, I was laughing. I think I even took a photo because even the construction vehicles are very Japan-sized.
Like Dr. Evil, everything's just like a little baby car.
You would probably need 4 of them to have like a European or an American construction vehicle.
Right. That's awesome. Did you when you originally, we had talked about it, you originally planned to learn Japanese and then were just like, screw that.
Oh God.
And then when you went in, you actually found that Google Translate worked quite well for everything.
Yeah, definitely. So that was actually one of the very, very first things we did after landing, between landing and going to the train, get a SIM card for the phone. I don't know how much data I used. I just grabbed the biggest one, which was like 50 gigabytes for the month. I doubt I even remotely used that, but whatever. It costs, I think, 30 or 40 bucks. So
Translate seemed to work fairly well.
Yeah. Like I just used Google Translate and just typed in what I wanted.
And then they were asking if you picked up
learning.
I gave up. Yeah, I gave up. I was like, no, my brain is not agreeing with this. It's not sticking.
Alps wanted to know if you picked up any systems or games.
No, nothing. The only thing I really did a lot is gacha, like the gacha machines. I got about 80 figurines with me.
So are they all small? Like
they are.
Yeah.
Well, most of them are small. The biggest one I have right next to me. That's one of the biggest ones I got from there.
Because they drop in like little balls, right?
Go.
Like little bubbles.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's actually way more detailed than I thought it would be. That's cool.
But yeah.
And is that the part of the wildlife collection? Like how in a
no, they have different colored like deer like that, and that's the machine it came out of.
But when you go to a machine, is it a deer gacha machine? Or is it you can get many different?
They all have like a banner on them, like in the video games, the banner.
Yeah. Okay.
And usually there's 4 to 5 in there. And you know exactly those are the options. That's what you'll get out of them. One of those you will get.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we were laughing that like their version of gambling is you always get something, which is so weird from what I'm accustomed to. But he was saying that like all their machines. Go ahead.
Also, the machines are like you can look into the capsule part of the machine. So every time that there are already fewer capsules in there, you saw people with like flashlights looking in, like seeing if they can see which one the next one is gonna be.
I love the idea of that.
Yeah. Because usually you could. Some of the capsules were color coded, so you could pretty easily look in and say, okay, I already had the red, green, blue capsule. Is like the golden one coming next or not? Because also the exit of the machines is always at the same spot. So you know the dial is moving that way. The next thing is gonna be this one. You see which capsule is gonna be the next one.
And then SBZ asked the question we were all wondering: any panty vending machines?
I saw none at all.
Nobody. You know what he did see? Some weird ass drink machines. We were talking about like some of the stuff that you saw. It's crazy to me how many drink machines they had. You were just saying they're pretty much everywhere.
We wanted to go to like the drink, like the vending machine hotspot, but did out of time because I read that a little bit to the west side of Tokyo there is a kind of famous spot where you have, I believe, 100 of those machines like next to each other, and they're selling everything from ramen to drinks to ice cream, like everything next to each other.
Yeah, and you said there was grape and what? What was the juice that we talked about?
No, you mean the tomato and lemon juice?
Tomato and lemon juice, yeah, mixed together.
Oh my God, what are the
in a vending machine. In a vending machine. Like, that's even crazier, because I don't know how... They probably make sure that shit's refreshed all the time. Like, or people are buying it all the time. Yeah.
Like, all the drinks are cooled.
Did they have, like, weird vending machines, like selling random stuff, like trousers or, like, unexpected stuff? Because that you always hear that about Japan, like, they have the weird vending machines, but...
I'm sure they have them somewhere, but nowhere where we went through there was anything super weird. I know, for example, there is also like a pizza machine, but we also didn't see that in person. But I know it exists.
They must be terrible though, like the cardboard ones.
No clue. I mean, if we had seen one, I definitely would have tried it.
Yeah, I would have tried to see
train travel.
Pardon me?
How did you find the train travel?
Train travel was, well, we always picked the green cabs, as they're called there, the green train cars, which is first class train, because that's the only ones I can sit in.
So are those magnetic? Like
no, no, most of them are not. Yeah, because I was looking up how big the seats are before we were going over there. And I saw, normal class, forget it. I can't sit in those. I'm sitting on the armrest, like I'm not sitting in the chair. But first class works. And if you reserve your ticket at least 3 days ahead, so if you plan a little bit, then it costs almost the same to just get first class. So that's what we did.
That's what I was thinking about. Size issue is because if he bought a pair of trousers, it'd be like some socks. Because it'd be like Japanese-sized trousers.
Yeah.
That shit wouldn't have worked.
No. The only thing... Okay, so I did buy new shoes because I brought 2 pairs of shoes with me because I knew we would be walking quite a bit. And I killed one of the pairs. They gave up. I had to throw them out. So to get a new backup, we went to a shoe store. So 2 things about that. Looking up shoe stores on Google reviews, like looking which ones are good to go to, I quickly realized that 3 out of 5 stars on Google in Japan is already good.
It's so weird.
Japanese people are very critical if they feel the service is not top-notch. So you quite often see 1-star rating because I didn't get greeted when I entered the store. I'm never returning to that store. Or someone else was looking more expensive shoes and they got more attention from the staff. I'm never returning to this store. While the English reviews were 5 out of 5 stars, I've never got as good as the service as here. So the expectations are quite different. Either way, I went to one of the stores and I tried one of the shoes, and then I got help from one of the salespeople there, where I had to use Google Translate because using English is not very common. Not many people know English, even if you are in the big cities. I ended up just taking the biggest shoes they had. I told him I want walking shoes for lots of walking, and they have to fit my size. Then he looked up at conversion table, and it was the only big size that was available.
Weird question: do they allow you to try them on before you buy them?
Yeah,
I know they have the shoe thing. I didn't know how that went. Go ahead, Silver. What were you gonna ask?
On the topic of Japanese service, how did you navigate the tipping?
There is no tipping, so easy.
Oh, there isn't any?
No. No tipping. Which is also a part of why everything is so cheap, because a full meal costs $6. You get served at the table like in any known restaurant, but you don't leave any tips.
And the one thing Reg told me that blew me away, in the entire time he was there, how many switches did you see?
Zero. Apart
in
from
all
in
the
stores, but not out in the wild.
Yeah, but you did say everybody just had an iPhone, right?
Yes.
Or a phone of some kind.
I started paying attention like after the first week or so, because I picked up on seemingly there only being iPhones, and then I looked more actively, and yes, from what I saw out in the wild, I would have guessed it's 90% iPhones.
Oh wow!
I looked it up afterwards; it's apparently 70%, but still, very high.
That's crazy. No switches, though. Like we were joking about in the Discord podcast, I was like, is it possible that Nintendo's buying their own system, inflating their numbers? Like, it's so weird that he saw zero. I would have expected to see him everywhere. But I do see. Go ahead.
Just coming back to the train travel that Silver was asking about. So and also tying into the towel thing. Riding first class, at least once during the train ride, someone comes through and gives everyone wet towels to like refresh themselves, like you would get in an airplane flight. And they often come through and collect the trash. And also something that's very, very Japanese, at least. I am very unused to it. They control the walk through all the cabins. Like they just go back and forth through the whole train. And every time they leave the part, they turn around, bow to everyone, and then they go out.
Wow.
That's awesome. And Reg is like 5 out of 5 stars. They bowed when they left. Everybody else is like, he didn't bow deep enough. 3 out of 5, 2 out of 5.
Something I find very...
There's only a 33-degree angle on the bow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Something I find very interesting about the trains, and I'm not sure why they didn't make it outside of Japan, is that at the end stations, all the rows, all the seats turn around to face the driving direction automatically. And they all
can pivot. Every seat can.
And you can also turn them around manually. So if you have like two rows that you reserved for your group, you can turn them to face each other if you want.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Also, the idea that everything is small sized, just because the idea of going there, I would
going to a burger restaurant. Getting a burger set. I don't know. I don't have anything that's as small here. The burger was maybe like 2 of these boxes, and that's the whole
Oh
burger.
my god, that's depressing.
But you said it was cheap.
Hobbits, where the doors are short, where you have to like.
No, in subway stations, sometimes going down the stairs, you had to watch out that you don't bump your head.
Yeah, watch your head.
I told Reg that him and Void's also 6'5", 6'4". I was like, they should do a travel channel where they just like say if wherever they're going is okay for super tall,
it's safe,
super big
safe
people.
for tall
yeah,
people.
it would be an amazing, and I'm sure there's already a vlog channel for like, does this?
Yeah.
And I've seen a couple vloggers. I was telling Reg, there's a lady who lives there. And she's very tall, volleyball player tall, like, in the 6'4", 6'5" range. She was talking about what it's like to live there as somebody who's super tall and how difficult. You may not think it's difficult, but it's exhausting after a while, because it's like every single thing has to be very particular for them to, be comfortable at whatever place. Because I was even asking him about the beds and how long the beds were.
The beds. So in the last apartment we had in Tokyo, the shower height was exactly with my head, so I could. I felt the ceiling when I was standing in there.
Amazing.
Did it talk to you? Anything electric? Like, was there any
the toilets? The toilets are all. Or
what do you mean?
Most of them are electric.
Wait, what did they say?
Oh no,
Good
I think he was just saying electric, not talking. I was just wondering if stuff talked.
So some of them have a seat warmer, so you sit down and it's already a warm seat.
That feels way too hot swapping with somebody, man. The idea of sitting down.
Some of them automatically, like you sit down and they start playing music and nature sounds and like rivers flowing and stuff like that.
Smart move, get you going quicker, and they analysis paralysis, or you get that little thing where somebody gets bladder shy next to somebody else. When you get a lot of people next to each other, so playing music and stuff to give a little white noise is quite intelligent when you think about it.
Are they all bidets? Like, did they do the
the ones that have like electronic functions? They are also bidets. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I just envision everybody walking around wet there because of what he said. Like
wet.
Everything's
like
wet.
At least the toilets also have air dryers built in.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then you know what I'd do? I would just wave my hand and put my hands over the bidet dryer. You guys would wonder why it was taking longer, and I'd just be like, hang on, Reg, man. I got to dry my fucking hands. I can't walk around.
I'm a little disappointed because on the Hokkaido level in Japan, in Hitman 3, the toilets do actually speak.
Oh, okay. No, none of them talk.
Do they say like "good job"?
I don't. They speak Japanese.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
all right.
shit.
Well, then it's probably better. It probably already sounds better.
I would
than
be
English
so
voiceover.
curious. I would be trying
Like
to
push,
imagine what they are saying.
Push. Everybody's like, "Good job." Extra
Are you
fiber needed.
encouraging? What? What's
I
going
think
on?
it might just be the stuff like "Have a nice day" or something after you fly.
Or like we
sense.
were talking about with weight and how they identify, how big you are, your company's insurance.
It's a
where you sit on the toilet,
voice,
you sit on the toilet. It's like you are too heavy.
Senpai.
You are too heavy. You are too heavy.
Yeah, just talking dirty to you.
Well, Reg was saying that there was some crazy stuff, and we're going to talk about Bandai in a bit for their practices for like laying people off or firing or whatever. But Reg was reminding me that they do that thing where they measure you to figure out like if you're heavy or not for your company's insurance.
Yep.
Oh, damn.
So we think body shaming's big here. Companies
like once a year, if you're employed in Japan, you get a full physical. And then afterwards, you get a rating sheet, which is basically A to F in different sections. And I think starting at 40 ? I'm not sure. They measure your waistline as well. And if you're about your acceptable thresholds, the company has to pay a penalty that you employed it.
Damn.
Wow.
The company's paying my fatty threshold tax. Like the idea, like Carrick eats too many burgers. And then you go to the shitter, then it measures that. What were you saying? Go ahead, John.
Speaking of burgers, I have
it also measures the contents of your poop in the proportion.
Yeah, it's taking samples like a Mars lander. It's like, ticket, you are unhealthy. Or it's just ticket unspecified.
Analyzes it,
yeah, dangerous. Go ahead, Johnny. What are we going to ask about food?
So, Reggie, you're a sushi enjoyer.
Yes.
So you've eaten a lot of sushi back here in Europe. So did you actually get to eat like proper sushi there?
I had running sushi and I had
what's
sushi
running?
restaurant.
What's it's so alive that it's still
conveyor belt sushi.
Yeah, conveyor.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you
saw the guy. Sorry, I'm just curious if it's like you see the Japanese guy with the katana or whatever.
Oh no, he's right in front of
cutting.
you. And he's preparing it.
Yeah. I think that it is interesting though that like we always, you always hear shit about all these nations and all this stuff that goes on, but some of the stuff, we won't cover a bunch of it here, but it is pretty crazy some of the stuff they do there that, as if it was a Western company, man, they'd be in deep shit. And one of the things that popped up was Reg and I were joking because you always hear this myth. It's like, oh, Asian companies never lay anybody off or never fire anybody or blah, blah, blah. And then you hear like some of these companies and what they do. And it's like isolation booths where they basically put somebody in the world's shittiest chair at the world's shittiest desk, making them want to quit so that they don't report unemployment. And it is nuts to me because I think Bandai just announced that they were laying what, like 200 off or what have you. And one of the things I noticed is if this was a Western company, YouTube or game drama channels would be all over this. And I so far I haven't seen it pop up in my feed, but it's like if it's Bethesda, if it's somebody else, it'd be reported instantly. It's those guys are like, no. Nothing bad happens there. It's like, dude, bad shit happens to everybody, man. They're people too. It's sort of that, it's almost like a weird fetish that gamers have towards, East companies. And it's like, they do the same stuff, man. They just do it slightly different, but they're still impacted by the,
too.
They poop too. Apparently they poop. I mean, we now know that,
and
they measure it,
and
they measure your waist. When you went, I also asked you how you felt about different foods, and then somebody had asked you if you had the equivalent food there, and if it was much better, and you had said it was curry, right? That you had real curry.
Oh, the Japanese curry, yeah, that was quite good.
And you noticed it was way better than anything you had where you are. Like it's equivalent.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a most surprising thing, and I already told you that as well. Is I had the very, very, very best Indian food in Japan.
Oh wow! I wouldn't have.
America does the best Chinese food. Apparently, Japan does the best Indian food. That's crazy.
It was so good.
And what was it that you had?
I had, it was a completely freshly made garlic naan with not just a little bit of garlic sprinkled on, but completely covered in garlic slices. It was a garlic fiesta. And,
good, like mouth odors after that.
Perfect.
Sure.
Yeah, garlic's good when you eat it, not when other people have to smell it.
I don't care.
Jesus says, Reg, any favorite foods while you were there other than sushi? Is there anything you snacked on?
The Indian food was very good. That was right at the top of the list. Apart from that, okonomiyaki. That's one of the foods we also made ourselves here. Like that's savory pancakes, basically.
Okay.
And that was, it tasted quite a bit better there, I would say.
Probably
the sushi, did you notice there? I'm just curious.
Sushi was different. So with the conveyor belt sushi, it's pretty much tasted like here, I would say.
Yeah.
But it had different fish than we have available, and some different sauces on top of it. And some very weird mixtures, like that I definitely had to order, of course. For example, hamburger sushi.
Oh,
no, not raw.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Wait, was there cheese? So you have like raw fish?
No, it's just like just tiny little sushi sized patties cooked.
Yeah.
Put on the rice.
On a bun? Oh, on rice. On rice. Gotcha.
Yeah, on rice. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the name is really the only thing that translated over in that food, at least. It wasn't true hamburger or anything. Yeah, I thought you were saying.
They call it Hamburg.
Do they? Leave out the ER. Any food that was still wiggling or alive? Alps asks.
No. The only thing that was wiggling was the noodles in the ramen. If you
no squid or octopi you can eat live. I'm sure someplace you went probably had it, right? Or
yeah, maybe. I
didn't see it though.
No.
Didn't see some Japanese kid mowing into a living octopus, or where they put the salt on it.
We went by some fish tanks with some live fish in there that were just waiting to be no longer alive. But apart from that, no.
Sleeve does ask the same question we asked in our podcast Discord. Reg, did you get any chance to see a huge Japanese arcade of any kind?
We did go to an arcade. I didn't play anything, but I checked it out. I watched some people play. They're very much alive and kicking.
And pachinko or whatever the fuck it's called.
Pachinko
was everywhere, right?
It's literally everywhere. And they're always huge palaces. Like enormous, with several floors and probably thousands of machines in there.
And you said somebody was playing it automatically when you walked by? Like
the one place I went into, because I was like, okay, we gotta at least go into one at one time. I looked down the rows, and one guy was just sitting there while the machine was just doing its thing and was playing on his cell phone, like just... EFK gaming that pachinko machine.
Yeah. Wow. It was crazy, man. And when he was explaining, I was like, wait, what? And I remember Solar was in there going, you mean they're not even playing it actively? Nope.
No.
Sitting there letting it play. And then Big Wolf, he's been on the podcast twice. He lives there, or did the last time he was on the podcast. He was talking about there were a couple of video game inspired cafes, and he had gone to a Resident Evil cafe where they had like fake intestines. It was just general towards the game. Did you see a lot of that kind of stuff?
I did see some theme cafes. Mostly, for example, Kirby Cafe is one of those I saw.
Oh, you know what? That wouldn't be so bad. Would that be confections?
Yeah, that's better than the intestines.
Yes. Yeah, cake,
gotcha.
Chicken pizza. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I would have. That sounds good. Actually, I hadn't thought about that. Kirby.
The thing is that at least the Kirby Cafe that we saw also needs a reservation. You can't just go in there. You need the reservation for going there.
Damn.
And the pizza at least was very expensive.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because the price sheet was outside the restaurant, so we checked that out, and I think it was about $20, which is super expensive for it.
Oh, damn! Yeah. Did you guys? Was there a particular place that you went one time? As you know, so if I travel, I'll usually pick one restaurant to go to that's really expensive, just one time, and I've usually always been, honestly, this is not me just being me. I've usually been very disappointed. You know, with whatever it is, because it's a little too highfalutin and the food isn't as good as I expected. Did you guys get a chance to go to one particular place? No,
we didn't. Okay. Mostly we went to get convenience store food.
Right. Which you said were open all the time.
Which are open 24/7. And the food there is bento boxes you can get, which are very good. They cost also like, I think, $3 to $4 is a full meal with what was it, like crispy pork and rice and noodles and everything in there.
Okay, but is it true? Like when we play Yakuza, right? You go into the store, the convenience store, you buy some bento because it heals you, and the person like bows to you and says, "Arigato gozaimasu."
So okay, so coming back to the bad rating, the 1-star ratings, if they don't greet you, if you go to a restaurant, for example, a ramen place, you in most of those places the kitchen is open, so you see the people that are cooking for you. You come in and everyone is screaming, "Yeah, welcome."
Oh wow,
really?
Like, all of them.
Damn.
Every person that comes in, everyone's getting greeted. Well, otherwise, bad service.
2 out of 5.
Yeah, exactly. Bad, or 4 out of 5.
The bow
bad
wasn't
service.
deep enough.
Something you would not, I don't think you would see here is a lot of queues to go to restaurants. So there are apparently well-known good places, and the people that are, for example, on their break, which is at 12 o'clock sharp, everyone's out of the office buildings going to lunch. You see a lot of queues. Waiting to get their spot, because most of those places are very small. Like it's tiny place, 1 row of seats for maybe 5 to 6 people. They sit in there, they eat, and as soon as they get up, the next one in front of the queue gets their spots to eat.
And you were telling us no eating while you're walking ever.
Correct. Yeah.
You have to eat at the
so
store.
If you buy some food, some snacks in the store, then you're a bad person.
If you're walking around eating.
A stupid gaijin if you eat it while walking. Yeah.
Damn. But drinking, you said, was fine while walking. People were doing that.
Yeah.
And then you also said that their online works weird. So, like, everything is paid inside of those stores?
Yeah. So in Japan, online banking is not really a thing, or very barely a thing. As same as credit cards. They exist, but most people don't have them. So everything usually is paid, even electricity bills, etc., in the convenience stores. So you get a payment reference. There's a machine in there where you enter your payment reference, and then you pay at the register in cash.
And I assume there's something smart about that. After we talked, I had thought about this. Like, who would go to a convenience store without buying something anyway? So, like, if you're going to make a payment for something and you're in the convenience store, I just feel like that's also a good way to drive industry, because you're going in there to pay like your electric bill, and then you're all, well, while I'm here, I'll get a bento box.
For me, for example, that worked very well, because I switched my Steam account to Japan doing exactly that. I said, okay, pay in convenience store, let's go.
And switch it over. Yeah, no, that's intelligent. I hadn't thought about that. When it comes to the trip, I had asked you, but it didn't sound like it. If you, after a month, if you were ready to go home, and you'd said,
like, yeah, I had like a phone call a week or so before we went back, and my brother was like, "Yeah, so homesick at all?" And I was like, "No, not at all.
Damn.
No, not one bit."
But is the idea? It was the desire to live there, or was it just that you were enjoying exploring and stuff?
No, not really desire to live there, but it was probably could have done a couple more months.
A couple more months?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Well, I mean, if it's cheap, and I know you're always looking for a deal.
It's
like,
cheap. The food is great. Public transport works super well, and the trains at least are always on time. The buses less so; they're not on time, and everything is very convenient. Like public transport works via NFC cards. You just pre-charge them, and then you just tap them on the gate every time you go in and out.
Yeah, that
one
seems
downside.
like...
One downside, though, since all those train companies are privately owned, you have to like plan out your route if you want to save money. Because if you switch operators, you pay more.
Oh, I see. Okay, I hadn't thought about that. And then moving on from there, Def Ego says, this is separate from Japan. He says, do you guys replay or watch some horror movies or games during this time of the year? If I can recommend something, watch The Ritual on Netflix as the coolest movie monster design I've seen in a while. I will put that down. I know Halloween isn't super big for all you guys. I mean, some of you might celebrate, but is there anything in Halloween? It doesn't even have to be a horror game. Do you guys find yourself watching a certain movie? Or do you guys do Halloween there? I mean, what I mean is, do you celebrate it? Not do you have it, but do you guys do anything? Do you guys do, I mean, I guess, what would it be there? Party?
So here in London, we even get the like people going to homes asking for candy and stuff.
Oh, okay. But
gotcha. It's pretty rare compared to America. I think it's much more widespread there. But it's pretty common here for someone to do like house parties and stuff where they're dressing up. So yeah, it's pretty common. Myself, I'm only this year trying to create a bit of a tradition to do something spooky related. So I've been playing Silent Hill 2. That's pretty much it. I might watch something like those movies about something in the deep sea. Those do scare me.
Yeah, you've got the deep sea phobia going on. You could watch Deep Star 6, Leviathan, both of those, Sphere.
Ooh.
They're not great, but Leviathan is B movie from. I mean, it's good. It's just old, But it's like an older 19. And then, what was it? Water. What's the one with glowy vampire movie chick?
I've seen that. Underwater.
That is that Underwater?
Yeah,
is that one was called?
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It had a good monster.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good.
Anybody else? Anything for Halloween at all? I'm assuming nothing, right? Yeah. What about you, Silver? Do you guys do anything for Halloween? You and Lemon, do you go out? Is this the time you dress up? You said you dressed up occasionally. Did costume?
Yeah,
you don't do it?
That's not the time I dress up. No. But I mean, the most I do is I do kind of make an effort to try and have some spare candy if there are kids dropping by.
Mm-hmm. Do you get that? Sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes. It's not very often. It'll be like once or twice, maybe at the most. But sometimes, yeah.
And Reg, you also live sort of
I live in probably the most international area of Denmark. Like there are lots of like foreign workers living here.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are lots of stores here where I live where they don't actually really speak Danish. The most common language is spoken is English. So I think that sort of carries over some Halloween traditions, maybe.
Gotcha. And then Reg, you live sort of out and about, right? Don't you?
Yeah.
So you don't have like kids that could go. If a kid knocked on your door at 11 p.m., you'd be like, something's wrong. I'm not answering the door. You're a demon.
So they did come around, but last couple of years we just took to just turning off all the lights. The universal signal for don't knock.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah, dude, doesn't work here at all, man.
Like having your headphones on. Don't talk to me.
And I don't know about you guys if that works at your offices, having the headphones on, but at my office, mint shit, man.
Didn't work?
Dude, it was I swear to you. I swear to you. Cadiz can back me up because he was worried. It would attract people to be like, hey, what's up? And you take them off. You'd be like, no, you know, and I'd have food in front of me. Like I'd be eating with headphones on, you know, my 15-minute lunch, and I'd be like, hey, so about your keyboard, where'd you get that? And I'm like, the office store where we all got our keyboards. Oh, okay. All right, talk to you later. And you'd be like, dude, you bastard. You're just doing that on purpose, man. I swear to God, that is the way it's nice. At least for where I work, what it's like. We do a lot of Halloween. Sorry, I had to reload the chat, folks. So if I missed anything, I apologize. I'm going to scroll up real quick. Also, Aya the Tiger says, Reg looks like a guy who'd find a waifu within 2 hours of an airplane touching down on a Japanese airstrip. There you go. You probably, I think Reg would do pretty well in the dating scene there. Except the one thing we did talk about, and I was telling you about my friend, he had learned about the different culture, about like not being too lovey-dovey, and how his relationships had ended poorly because he was too lovey-dovey. He was too like, hey, you know, you're beautiful today. It's like, do not compliment me. The Deagle says, got candy for trick-and-treaters last year, ended up eating most of the stuff myself. Yeah, I mean, that's the way I do it. We get a lot of candy, and it doesn't end up... a lot of our places do schools. The school will put on an event to be safe. You know, people are weird these days. I mean, you know, or the myth of people being weird. Like I would love to have kids come by. And you give the kids the B tier stuff. You know what I mean? Like you got some good shit and then you got the B tier. You know what I love to give kids that parents do not like here, man? And it's a West Coast, it's every coast thing, but West Coast in particular is saltwater taffy or saltwater candy, which is really sticky, but parents do not like you giving it to their kids at all. It's like, I don't know, an unspoken rule, probably because it pulls fillings out, or because it's super chewy, or because it melts terribly and gets into everything. Is it actually salty? No. Okay. No. Because there's some crazy... It's every flavor you can imagine under the sun. Yeah. You can get sushi there's some flavor. Crazy salty candy that's not candy at all, by the way. It's just salty as fruit. Yeah. And it's can also get extreme. Very salty taffy as well. Yeah, saltwater taffy is literally just the name of it, but it's not salty. But it's really, really chewy, and it can pull fillings right out. It is like, it's the type of candy that if you're chewing it and you bite down and then try to pull your mouth open, it'll do that thing where your jaw click. You'll be like, oh, fuck, I almost broke myself eating this candy. Yeah, it's good, though. We have saltwater taffy stores everywhere in town. On the coast, it was a huge deal. I don't know how far south it goes, but in Newport, Oregon, all up the West Coast, they would have them everywhere. They were really cool, but you get some weird flavors. You know how it is. Everybody wants to try something new. So they're like, oh, curry flavored, noodle flavored. Whatever. Fuck, man, it doesn't taste anything like noodles. Yeah. Well, isn't that a thing in Japan, actually? Going back to that, like the weird flavors for things like Kit Kat, where you have like green tea. Yeah. Oh, they really love their Kit Kats and their regional flavors. Yeah. Like, what did you ever see? I'm assuming stuff like wasabi. I've seen. Correct. Let's see. Wasabi, cheesecake. Oh, cheesecake. Apple pie. Oh, honestly, I'll try those. I'll try those. Yeah, I'm sort of into those. I mean, is it chocolate? Actually, pretty good. It's probably apple pie with chocolate mixed. Like, it's still the chocolate, so you get chocolate. It is still a regular Kit Kat. It just has the apple pie flavoring. Yeah. But you know what Japan does have that's terrible? I talked to Reg about this, and I can confirm, because I did ask a couple people after we talked if they had experience with it, and that's that their donuts suck balls compared to ours. Oh, yeah. So we win. It's like, Gabriel, $2 super chat. What's up, Gabriel? Thanks for the super chat. It says, what about spicy Mexican candy? If you mean in Japan, did they, we'll also talk about elsewhere, but did they, like, what was, I mean, I'm assuming they're doing curry candies. Yeah. So the curry, at least in the chain we were in, they have spice levels up to level 20. And they only give you, I think, to level 5. And once you have eaten level 5, the next time you can go up to level 10. So they like write your name down, like, okay, this person is certified. They have achievements. I did not get level 5, but yeah, probably is some kind of achievement unlock system to get to the spiciness level. I got level 3 is the furthest I did. How was that one? Spicy enough for me. Oh, was it really? So would you say, do you have any comparison? Because I'm assuming their spice, it might have been a unique spice, but is there any comparison to a normal food that you would say it was like spicy as, or is that a hard? difficult to compare.
I've definitely had spicier, for example, Indian food, like real Indian food is definitely way spicier than that was.
So maybe half of that or something.
Yeah.
But in candy form. Ben says, now I'm getting hungry and I'm all out of candy.
I know we always talk about food and it's rough.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. We don't have much game stuff to talk about. It's actually been sort of a quieter time in gaming. I mean, there's been a bunch of stuff, but it hasn't been super. And what are those?
Favorite.
Oh my God.
Salmon chips?
Salmon, fish, potato chips. Yes.
No way. I'm now not hungry. That is gross, man. Does it?
Can you just the smell of it?
That's exactly what I was going to say. When you open that bag and it's just this waft of fish plant smell, not in a million fucking years would I
was like,
that.
Hell yeah, I gotta
Did you buy
take
and so what's honestly outside of it just being a crazy thing, did you like it? Did you like the
I
fish
don't know
chips?
yet.
Oh, you haven't opened them yet?
No.
We're waiting. You want to open it live here?
No,
in your room? Open that fishy smell.
It's just a wasabi Kit Kats and stuff like that.
Oh, you got some Kit Kats. So what's your plan to just hold on to them more as
I'm slowly eating them. Like,
are you?
Just opening a package and then slowly going through it.
It's like the food that we always joke with Silver, the pickled herring or whatever. Like open it outside, make sure it's not.
Yeah, surströmming.
Yeah. What's it called?
Surströmming.
Oh, man, that's so nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben says, thanks, Reg, not hungry anymore.
So, yeah.
Oh, what is that one? A peach Kit Kat?
Peach
now,
Kit.
that would be good.
Yeah, it looks a different color, but...
Yeah, it looked purple almost, or like pinkish. Like, I don't think a peaches is pink, but I don't think they give a shit. I mean, they're mixing them with Kit Kats, right? It's not like they're sitting up late at night making sure the coloring's right on those.
From orange Kit Kat.
Oh, that actually looks pretty damn good. I would go there.
The cheesecake Kit Kats are the special Fuji edition.
See, I would actually eat that. I think cheesecake Kit Kats would be delicious, and you could probably get them here, I would assume. Do you end up finding that they're pretty good? Like comparatively, are they tastier than, like, let's say if you bought a Kit Kat where you are?
I tried most of the flavors, I would say, while I was there. The orange ones are pretty good. The apple pie ones were very good.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Some others were meh.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Salmon flavored Kit Kat.
No, matcha, of course, but I don't like matcha all that much.
Matcha. So. What is that?
That's green tea. That's green tea powder. Yeah, no.
Ben says the best candy podcast. We are. I do think that when you go there, like, that is one of the major reasons so many people go is to see the foods. Ones.
Oh, nice.
Man, you're a Kit Kat fan. Damn.
Well, yeah.
You're set for like months, dude.
Or for me, like a day.
A day?
Like, yeah, like if I'm in a Kit Kat mood. Yeah.
Yeah, mood.
Yeah. That's the way it is usually with candy with me. Like, I'll get in a mood. It'll sit for a long time, and then suddenly I'll be like, I am in a Kit Kat mood. And if they have
it's like
Skittles,
Metallica's album Binge and Purge.
Yeah, except good.
Oh, ew.
Sorry, I'm just joking.
All right.
And a lot of sweet potato stuff.
That ain't for me. Yeah, sweet potato.
Sweet.
I don't know. Yeah, he was saying a lot of stuff when we were talking earlier. He was saying a lot of stuff was sweet potato. For some reason, I mean, they hate themselves.
So like, you can go into a convenience store and in the snack section, you just can buy a sealed up, pre-cooked sweet potato, like one sweet potato. Yeah, that's it.
That's a thing, apparently.
I guess that can be a meal. Yeah, that
definitely can be a meal.
To answer the super important question, one of the first ones I asked Reg was, when he was walking around, did he see a lot of women dressed as schoolgirls with, like, the, because of the big shtick? And he said he saw some, but not many.
Yeah, I saw a lot in Akihabara, at least, a lot of women dressed up as maids because they're all advertising for their maid cafes.
Damn.
Okay, but they were doing their job. It's not like
they were doing their job.
They were doing their job. But right now, a bunch of flights just got booked the moment he said that. I'm just saying.
So the funny thing also about that is the science there said that market criers are outlawed in Tokyo. so they can stand outside and hold their signs, but they can't like say, "Oh, come to my store,
Right.
come to my store." So every 2 steps, there was one of those maids advertising for her cafe. There was a shit ton.
And that
Do they
seems
talk to you? Are they like,
No,
hey,
no.
senpai?
But I saw them talk up some Japanese guys. Yeah,
They're sadly banned from that, I think, as you mentioned.
I'm pretty sure they are. I'm pretty sure it still goes to
Advertising.
the sound thing that they seem to have.
Yeah.
Like things need to be quieter, and they're like they're not allowed
Polite.
to yell at you, or it's like you can't break the audible thing. Seems to be something that he had talked is just quieter
They're not
in all
allowed to
ways.
say out loud, please come into my store.
In
You
fact,
have
he
to
said
put
the
it on
loudest thing
sign,
was the
whatever.
festival. I think that's what surprised you, right? Is
Yes.
you went out and that's when rules were sort of
Okay.
looser.
So also car drivers in Japan must be absolute saints. You can't find them anywhere else on the planet, I think.
That are that nice. It was the motorbikers that weren't, right?
In the whole month I was there, I think I heard about maybe 3 to 4 people honk once. That's it.
That's crazy. But you said the motorbikes were cranked up.
Yes.
To
Some
be
of the
super loud.
motorbikes are cranked to the max, and you could hear them sometimes at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., like just full throttle going through the city at some max volume.
You know that was some Yakuza guy going to some meeting. That's all I'm saying. It feels like that would be the Yakuza, the guy who like, look how cool I am.
And the ambulances, etc., are also pretty noisy because they don't just blare their horns if they have to warn people to get out of the way or something, but also on the empty street.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do they do the thing that we do here where they go beep, 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 beep? Or do they just leave it?
They have the sirens and the speakers, like, get out of the way, we're driving, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
blah,
really?
blah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. Everybody else is quiet. They're like, we're on our way somewhere. Get out of the way. Wait a minute. Were the ambulances small? Like the construction
No,
vehicle?
not
Were they
really.
normal? Okay,
No,
I'm
they were-
sorry.
they were
Quit
normal
laughing,
size.
Johnny. It said everything else was small. I
That's
got an
true.
idea
I
of a
did.
little
I did.
RC car ambulance
did.
truck. Reg has to go to. Reg hurts his knee and his legs are hanging out the back. It's like shit, man. I'm gonna die. You guys didn't in the entire trip. You didn't have to go to a hospital or anything.
I
right?
thought about it once because the flight there fucked up my back quite a bit. And
Oh, that's
even
what I'm
after,
saying. Yeah.
even after a week, I was still in pain. So I was at that point where I was like, okay, I gotta,
Right.
because I still have 3 more weeks to go. I can't. It's not impossible. And right the next day, it was over on its own. So
You thought it out of being. You had
Yeah,
said there was nothing wrong with your seat or anything. It was just the way you thought you were
I
sitting.
was sitting fucked up in a fucked up way flying there. Like I was sitting in the airplane seat, was like with my neck over there against the window, and no,
Oh, God.
it was
Yeah.
a bad position.
Yeah, sometimes you can hurt yourself way worse than just because you're not paying. I was telling him that like when you're excited, you're whether you're looking out the window, or you're looking
We
down.
did-
I hurt myself playing Steam.
We did visit Japanese baths like 3 times, so the onsen,
And
which is also
what do you do? It's gonna sound weird. Do you rinse swim trunks or
No.
How do you?
naked. Everyone's naked.
Oh, really?
Are these co-ed?
No, they're gender
Okay.
separated.
Okay, because I was like, as another set of flights are booked to Japan. As we go, people are looking, going, why are these flights coming in weird spurts? It's like coming in weird spurts. That was not on purpose. So you
God.
went there. So yeah. So everybody. So you go in there. Everybody's naked. You go,
Yeah.
and then there's a shower to wash off whatever's
Right.
there.
Okay.
Another
so,
shower.
Depends. At the first place, there wasn't a full shower, but you have like little chairs you sit down on, and there's like a little shower that you can direct to clean yourself, and like a bucket that you can also then like throw over yourself
Gotcha.
and make sure you're clean. And once you feel clean enough, you may enter the water.
And this was warm springs, you had said, right? So you're just
Yeah,
sitting
hot
out in
springs.
hot
Yeah,
springs.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were cheap too. You said they were super cheap.
Yes. The entrance costs about $3.
Oh,
Damn.
but that's not the normal way people wash up, right? They do have like showers. and
Well,
stuff.
there's 2 things. There's like onsen, which is the hot spring water with the mineral water, etc. So that you
okay.
go there to
Or
relax
relaxing. Yeah.
and like
Spa.
a healthy bath kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's more spa-like. And the other one, which word I forgot, which is the public bath, just the regular public bath.
Okay.
With regular, just heated water, which are becoming more rare because newer houses, newer buildings have baths in them. But they didn't.
And this is a weird question, but you know how over here we have a non-spoken code where for urinaries, like if you're urinating, the next person that comes in doesn't take the one next to you. They leave one in between.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So was there some kind of etiquette where, like, hey, you keep
at
some
the urinals definitely, in the onsen, no,
like in the
there's
baths,
not enough space there.
Oh,
like you just sit next to each other.
There's dividers though, right?
No,
it's all open.
Once you're in there, everyone's naked,
just
everyone's the same.
All in there floating.
Damn.
Any saunas or?
Saunas?
There are saunas, but I mean, it was hot enough. When we arrived there, it was every day was 35 degrees Celsius plus.
Gotcha.
So I was
more than warm enough
already. Yeah.
after 2 days, I bought a sweat rag, like actual sweat rag that I always had around my neck to just dry my face because forget it.
I'm assuming also that might have helped your back being warmer, over a period of time. But if you screwed your back up that bad that it was an entire week, man, I wonder if you pulled something.
It was very bad.
Like, yeah.
I'm sure I pinched like a nerve and it didn't just
And the flight back you said was fine though, because you had sat right. Yeah. Yeah. Anytime that I'm playing my Legion, I was telling you, I have a tendency to look down too much in my neck. Like if I don't watch it really quickly, my neck will end up the next day will just be raw. Vapor says, is it true that the Japanese are generally shorter than Westerners or just untrue? Oh, it's true.
I mean, I don't know if it's channel, but shorter than me for sure.
Yeah. And then Sleeve asks the important question, how many Japanese love hotels did you grace with your presence?
None. 0.
Did you guys see them?
We saw some, yes, where the prices said like you can rent like for an hour the room
and the love hotels are the full service love hotel, right? That's where sex is occurring.
Yeah, with the person you bring along,
but not a person there.
No,
like what you'd see in Amsterdam red light district or something. Okay,
no, it's literally 4 pairs that go there to then have their private space.
Yeah, I would like to have known what they look like inside. Like, I don't even know. I'm getting an idea of 2 people going into a capsule, but that doesn't seem realistic.
I know that a lot of them are also themed.
Oh, that is true. I do know that. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I'd be the guy who's like, "Hey, man, I'm here," and they'd be like, "Where's your partner?" I'm like, Thought we get those here too.
Yeah.
You mean I have to actually go out and work for this?
Are pretty much in
privacy.
Business and are there.
It's like those bring your own booze, but it's bring your own.
Yeah, because people usually still live at home for a long time and they don't really have any privacy, so they have to go somewhere else.
Vapor says, "Did you see any ninjas?"
If I had seen them,
they're not good ninjas.
They would be pretty terrible ninjas.
Yeah, wow, would those ninjas suck if they're just standing there hoping you don't see. They were probably the people in the maid outfits. Those were probably all dudes waiting for some assassination attempt, and we just didn't know. The one reason I would want to go is like look at some of the the stores for video games and stuff. But I mean, other than that, I would love to see the pachinko, right? I'd like to see those. Yeah, I'd like to see those.
Yeah, they look really elaborate. I've been Googling after Reg told me. Yeah.
I've heard you can hear them, like even from outside, the pachinko noise.
Usually not. Everything's very well noise isolated. But as soon as the doors open, you can hear the noise.
Yeah, you can hear a bunch of it. What's the plan for going back? Wait a year, 2, 3? If you guys don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The flight is very expensive, so.
Well, 14 hours, or sorry, 12 and 14, right? That is not a cheap flight. And you said it was so expensive you couldn't even get first class because it would have been unbelievable expensive, right? Well, you're not on a Saudi plane.
I didn't want to.
Yeah, at some point, I mean, obviously it wouldn't have helped your back either if you were sitting.
It's like you think, and it's like, okay, so it's 12 hours per direction roundabout. And in business class, that costs you $4,000 per person. Is like,
holy!
I think I told you guys. We have a patron. She's been around for years, and her husband do a lot of travel, and she's shown a lot of pictures of the Saudi airlines, the ones where you have your own isolated booth and shit. And she took a picture one time. I think I might even showed you. She took a picture, and her feet are like ending here. And the extended past that another 1.5 feet is the LCD screen for watching whatever you want.
Yeah.
And, full satellite TV, I'm assuming. And then champagne and all that. I was just like, dang.
Naturally.
That shit's up there. That's the entire cost of a trip, probably, or the rest of the trip. But yeah, no, it sounds like it'd be an awesome place to go. It's one of the few that I would want to go to. And then I was asking you that. You really overall... this, and then I think there was one other place you thought you might want to go to. It was like Japan was the major one, but was there another one that we had talked?
Yeah. South Korea is also interesting in the same vein. Yeah.
Oh, Vapor asked a good question. Did you watch much of the
Sorry.
Go ahead, Silver. What were you gonna ask?
Just not Singapore, or
no? I mean, in general, Australia might also be interesting, but I'm not sure I want to deal with all the toxic animals.
And I think you and I talked, the flight is even longer to there.
I mean, yeah, it is a little bit further still. Yeah.
Vapor says, did you watch much of the television there, Reg? I can't imagine how fascinating Japanese TV would be.
Right. So not a lot, but one of the bathrooms we had, so one of the, in one of the flats had a TV in it. Mm-hmm. So you could lay in the bathtub, like just soak in there and watch TV.
Watch TV. Lay in your 3-foot bathtub with your feet hanging
so
out
I
the
did.
edge.
And I watched an animated children's show one time. And the main character was literally a butt. Like an ass.
Like a okay, gotcha.
And an ass for the face. And his move apparently is always like beating animals with the enemies. He's like the butt detective. And he uses his farts to solve the cases. So there you go.
What? And you randomly saw that? So of all the shit you didn't see, that was the one you saw?
Yes.
Dude, that's a weird sample set. I feel like that might have been the normal one that they were showing. And
I saw 2 episodes of that on 2 different days.
No shit, really? Oh man! But I mean, if you could solve puzzles by farts, I would
like
for sure be the
second
best
episode, for example,
ever.
they were trying to catch someone on who was going away on a speedboat, and they were on a slow boat. So naturally, he had to like
fart
release
to speed
some
it up.
farts to speed up. Yeah.
It all checks out. Cross out Australia and replace with New Zealand. Sleeve says, yeah, New Zealand might be.
True.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I mean, overall, you're still going to probably run into some animals that are out there just set up to kill you. But, it's still insanely long flight. The idea of going is cool, but I had forgotten what you had said about the cost of the flight. That is just absolutely
the flight is super expensive,
man. Yeah. That is not, especially when you were saying the cheapest place was like 65 or whatever you said.
55 a night. Yeah.
55 a night. And when you start looking at the flight, that like you
also
could stay there.
55 a night for 2 people, so the whole room. So
damn. Robert says if you go back, you should try the Mario Kart tour they do. You can ride carts around.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I feel like the carts wouldn't be the right size. Now I'm imagining everything in Japan being toy size. But
I know.
Well, everything is described makes me uncomfortable as because I'm only 6'1", but the idea of jumping around and trying to figure out how to get in a Mario Kart.
So the carts, they do exist, and it's literally something that only tourists do.
Oh, right. So you out yourself. I mean, not that a 6'5" dude like you doesn't out yourself, but you get my drift. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But we did see a couple of those tours drive around. Yeah.
I have the inverse problem because I'm a short guy and I live in the land of giants. So.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'6".
Move to Japan, you'd still be an inch taller than the average. And everything be comfortable.
I will say though, public transport, no problem with the height.
Oh, really? It was all set up.
The trains are way higher. I had way more problems in the London subway.
Because you went to visit Johnny that time, right?
Oh my God!
How many years has that been since you went and visited Johnny? 4, 3, 4?
Oh, 2000,
maybe 2020, maybe
Yeah, because it
2019?
was pre-pandemic, I want to say.
It
Reg?
was. It was pre-pandemic.
Yeah, it was definitely pre.
And you were still in the EU.
Oh, damn. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying now. I thought you meant
Brexit,
in a completely
like
different
before
nation,
Brexit.
but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would have been, so you could afford to travel at that point.
Yeah.
Back to game news real quick. Let's see if there is anything before we go
What
back
do we
to
got?
food. Let me look.
What do we got big this month? By the way, I know you covered. Was there
So
like
this
one or
month-
two
yeah,
highlights
no.
from your video?
No, there's definitely. We don't know. I put it in as a soft date, but it's like Metal Gear. We know 2024 is what they said they were releasing it, or the hints, and then you have the Metal Gear Solid anniversary coming up. I personally, I don't think that's coming, but I still put it in the video because like it may. We haven't heard anything, but that's not too surprising these days now with releases the way they are, where you're like, oh, this game isn't coming out. Oh no, it's coming out in a month. So no clue there. The other big ones, so looking at my list here, I was actually surprised. I think November is pretty packed. Even if you remove that one, November has a huge number of titles. So the next one after that was Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, for me, this is exciting. They have an open beta. I played it. The only thing is they listened to all the people complaining about storage size. And instead of storage size now, we've translated it to everybody has to stream the entire thing. So you get a super small storage size, but the moment you start playing, it's streaming everything in the background. It's a massive amount of bandwidth they need, which is sort of disappointing. I'm going to see if there's an option to just, install it all kind of stuff. But I think the minimum is really small. It's like 8.7 gigs or something. But the moment I got in and started streaming, and you guys, I have a gig down. Now I have a gig down 500 up. And I was, you could already see little stutters as it was loading up, and mine's NVMEs and stuff. But that was a test. That's why people are able to play it. Stalker 2 comes out, and as I said in the review, it's been delayed a bunch of times, but I don't see that one being delayed again. Previews just came in, bunch of websites. They invited me to something, which must have been this, which was people playing it, and they all seem to say it's up there, it's doing good. Series S is 30. Series X and PlayStation are both 60, and they're above 30 for the most part, even on the Series S. I think it's 30 or 35. They're going to try to improve some performance there. But overall, it's a pretty good
number to hit. Yep.
And then I know no one cares but me, but Farming Simulator 25 is coming out. And the reason why I care is because I'm just stunned at the esports that exists around Farming Simulator, and I'm excited to just watch people flipping bales and doing all these.
Yeah, and these are actually pretty different. They do iterate quite a lot between.
Dude, there's a ton changed in this one and added. There's now an Asian landscape to do rice paddies. They're adding a bunch of stuff. They have a ton in it, and honestly, this thing has been selling like hotcakes. So my notes were 2013 sold 600,000 copies. Not bad for a farming sim. The last reported numbers on 22 was already at 4 million. And I don't think we have 23, and I think 24 they skipped. So we don't even have numbers for the other ones, but it does well. Then Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake is coming out. I don't know if Reg, are you getting that one? Dragon Quest 3 HD/2D.
Yeah, I am actually.
Yeah, looks like Octopath a little bit, I think, would be a good comparison. And, for people who are into Dragon Quest, especially the older ones, that it looks good. Lego Horizons Adventures is coming out. The more I look at that, the more I'm interested in it, because there's like city or your main camp, there's customization, all kinds of stuff in there. Whether it turns out to be a real game, sort of like, what would we say, Lego Town? What was that one called that I liked? Lego City? Was there a Lego City? Is it Lego City?
There was a Lego Cities.
That game I loved. And then there's, of course, the IPs that are like Lord of the Rings. So they do a good job. I'm crossing my fingers that's good. Planet Coaster 2, which I can't wait for. I just want to build rickety coasters and watch kids fly off. That is going to be so exciting to screw people up. And that comes out 6th. Metro Awakening, the VR one. I put it in here because there's got to be at least 2 people who own a PSVR now, and they can play it, and then it's on PC. And it's weird, guys.
Oh, it is on PC too.
Yeah, but think about it this way. Stalker and Metro's had more titles, right? And Stalker had Exodus. But we had this gap, and somehow, by the process of fate, both games come out in 1 month. the Metro game, and the Stalker game. So that's really cool. Mario and Luigi Brothership looks fucking phenomenal. I mean, and I'll never get a code from them ever. So I'm not even, I don't even think I asked, but maybe I did. But Mario and Luigi, dude, they did so much shit. They've got like Luigi now moves around on his own. He does some stuff on the side so you don't have to like, there's not as much mini management. You're in this island that travels around the world. The island is not only your transport. This is why I was asking you guys about methamphetamine or whatever, is because methaphor, just in case anybody wonders what I'm talking about. But when you look at it, it's not only the travel, it's its own little baby town as you're traveling on the back of it, as this island goes between other islands. So I'm excited for that. Slitterhead looks incredible. That's the horror slash, it's basically like Watch Dogs Legions, because you can jump into anybody in the town and you're trying to consistently do this thing where you're trying to find out how these demons are getting into people and you can take over different people in the town. Looks phenomenal. The big one for me on honorable mentions is Rise of the Golden Idol, which I think even Silver posted yesterday in our chat. Yeah. That game, so the original game was, I didn't put it in my notes. They did a game prior, and basically you go around and you do this sort of trying to figure out murders or whatever, crime scene investigation, and then you sort of fill out an ad lib generator at the end with all of the subjects and nouns and ideas that you have for what the case, how
things fit together.
Yeah, cannot wait for that. I put it as an honorable mention because it's sort of an indie game that's made by Color Gray Games, but that game looks good. Then Chicken Police Into the Hive. I even asked Reg if he's getting this because I am getting this. It's like noir chickens.
Yeah, the first one, your Chicken Police was
Chicken Police. Yeah, Chicken Police. The first one was awesome. This one, Into the Hive, has them going into what's called the hive in their city, which is insects like control the underground, or you wouldn't call it the underground, the undercity, I guess, like the bad part of town. And you're doing the detecting in there, but it's like noir, LA noir, 2D with chickens, and it looks, and it's all voiced, like it's all voiced, so that's cool. Menace from the Deep
goes very heavily into the noir feel.
Yeah, very heavy into that. And then Menace from the Deep is the Cthulhu card game. They had a demo during the demo days last year, and I think I did a preview on that one. That was very fun. Played a little like Darkest Dungeon. And then I don't know if anybody cares, but Sea Power, I put that at the end of my video. Sea Power is like they originally did Cold Waters, but it's playing in the Cold War era as the United States, or as NATO, and you're trying to take on all the different little events that happened there, as well as some fictional ones. But it's one of those war game simulators where like you can see the ships, you try to take out subs, you're trying to take out other destroyers. And that was just some of the games I had. I mean, there's like, Alan Wake Lake House. Is Alan Wake Lake House also in November? Did they, yesterday they showed that event. They showed it at the Xbox.
I believe so.
Jeez, is that November too? Fuck, man. Yeah, that might be in November as well.
October, I'm seeing.
Oh, okay, October. So so it's coming out soon then. Okay. But yeah, man, did I review Drova? No, I haven't even heard of Drova. Sorry. Drova. Yeah. Oh, and then I also put Path of Exile 2. Path of Exile 2, though, I'm a little pissy about that and all the shenanigans they're pulling with the fucking...
Yeah, and I think it's only some people. Yeah, so there are different batches that they will do in terms of players coming in.
For Path of Exile 2 for being able to play early access, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Sorry,
so there's going to be a first wave of players who are recognized as supporters, and that it's a very high bar. You need to have, spent some huge amount of money, between 500 and maybe 700. Something to that effect, qualifies as a supporter, and then I believe you'll be able to get in there and play like the first wave, and there will be different waves of people coming in to play. Yeah,
I gotta admit, I'm not happy about that. That is whatever,
because
it's early access to be in a lottery.
Yeah, and it makes me feel like I spent like $60 in a pack because I like the game. You know, I got like some tabs and stuff. I spent $60 there. I thought I was a supporter too, you know, but that's, you're not even,
Not
I don't
even in
know.
the list of
You're not
supporters.
even, you don't register as a supporter. I don't know. There's something
I'm assuming
shitty.
you guys, as tech guys, we're probably all assuming the same thing, right? That it has to do with them testing the servers, and they just want people, right? Like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
assuming.
yeah.
So
they want a small group, I guess.
Yeah, let me tell you how fucked that is. Your small group of people that you're testing are the people who spent the most on the fucking game in the first place. So you're not only paying to be in a lottery, but you get the worst goddamn experience. That kind of, I know it's free to play, so people just get, but it's not free to play because, yeah, I don't know, man.
The early access isn't free to play, yeah.
No, and it's just, yeah, as Deagle says, Johnny's in the freeloader tier at $60.
I'm a freeloader. Yeah, I'm absolutely freeloader.
I don't get it, man. It's like pay a bunch to be in a lottery to possibly be able to play. And then this $500 thing. Kig just said what I said in the Discord. They want the Chad whales. They're basically penalizing the whales so that the whales go in to play early. I wonder if it resets your progress, though.
That I don't know. I would hope not. But then again, the people who pay that amount, they're okay with, you know, starting a new character.
Lucitan says he thinks the minimum rumor. This is the other thing that bothers me. They haven't even said how much. Minimum rumor is 500. Yeah. 500.
And we were talking about, like, are we okay with 3 days early access for a game? Are we okay with 1 week?
Oh, dude, we did just talk about this.
Now we're saying this is even more gated because it's like, it's not that you're paying the price of the game, like $60. This is, yeah, it's a free game, but as you're saying, you're having to pay $500.
Do you think they're worried that people, that if they were to say it was an exact amount, then people would go and yeah, I don't think it's up to the company to worry, but I'm wondering if they were wondering, oh, if we say it's 500, people will rush in to spend 500, then we'll look bad in that way. So they're not telling people, but that looks bad that you're not telling people and that it's a lottery. It is what it is.
Eventually they will have to say what the value is, you know?
Yeah.
If they're doing it this way. So it's...
Because it's looked forward to. Have you done Path of Exile, Reg?
The first one, yeah, a little bit.
And you liked it?
I generally liked it, apart from the skill tree that just scares me.
That Lucitan loves. like a lot of people love that there's hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds, which is great. But a lot of them are, you know, plus 1% or something, you know, very typical stuff. Lucitan says they're going to give a proper announcement on the 1st of November. Yeah. Yeah, shit way of doing it, but you know, there's probably a reason, so I'll just say shit. It in appearances right now, it's shit. Doesn't mean that there's not a... Yeah,
the game itself could be awesome and looks to be awesome.
Looks to be
from
awesome.
what I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kig says you used to get paid to beta stuff, or beta. Used to get paid to test stuff, but in gaming you get to pay to test stuff.
I was also curious. Did any of you jump into Diablo 4 for the DLC,
for the
expansion that dropped? Yeah, that's all.
I jumped in, but I didn't do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Lake House is October 22nd.
Oh, cool.
What day are we on, man? That's
God damn, we're on 18
4 days
already.
Wow.
Wow.
So that'd be what Tuesday.
While we're talking, I'm gonna see if I can get a code this weekend.
Yeah. God damn.
I will say one thing. Reg and I have always talked about AI. One thing I can tell you guys that AI absolutely works great on is I have it integrated with my email. The ability to ask it a question and have it parse all my emails has been hours upon hours upon hours
like
of
an
life-saving.
assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just asking it if I've asked. Anyway, it has saved me a ton of money because we used to always joke about how terrible the search is.
Oh, because you can check, have I asked?
I did just ask. Like, yep. And you can go in and you can even say, give me the last 5 requests I've done. You can do, it's so
That's good.
Nice. It is such, for somebody like me who has so many emails going in and going out, it is a goddamn lifesaver. Yeah, it is. It has really been a huge help. What else do we have?
We're getting there. That's pretty practical stuff.
Well, let's see. What do we have for news?
We're coming up on Dragon Age 2, right? Not
Dragon
2,
Age.
but,
what are we calling that?
as
Dragon
well.
Age.
Veilguard.
Yeah, as well.
the Veilguard. Yeah.
Who's getting that?
I think I will. It's looking much better
Yeah,
now,
I'll
I
probably
think,
get it.
after the gameplay I've seen.
Yeah, I think the gameplay looks pretty robust. Overall, looks like what I wanted for the most part. I just need to see. I need to see how it all comes together. The last couple of gameplay trailers, they're doing a good job of showing that it's not a stop and start as I had originally felt in those first trailers we saw. They looked a little stop and start, and now it seems like it's definitely cleaned that up. So, hang on one second. There we go. Sent my email. Okay, look at that. That would have taken me 50 minutes.
You're a brave man. What if you like screwed up like your grammar or something because you're doing fast?
Well, I can see the oh yeah, no, this was easy enough that I wouldn't screw it up. But it's happened. It's happened. So let me tell you one thing that was really embarrassing. It was about 6 years ago. I was asking somebody for code for a game, and somehow got the wrong game in there, and they were the competitor.
Oh damn.
Yeah, I will say that this person handled it incredibly well, but it was, you could tell they were not super happy about like me and how I asked it. You could tell that they were like, yeah, that was a mess up, and it was a mess up. It was a mess up that I normally don't do, but it was at some random time, and somehow. Yeah, I got the wrong game.
Got it mixed up.
Yeah. And it does happen. No matter how much you check, your brain will get fried and you'll think you've been talking to this person for a while on multiple games or whatever, and then you'll ask and you'll be like, oh shit, I just screwed that completely up. I mean, we've all had it happen. Well, at least I'm saying we've all had it happen, but it did happen to me. What else do we got? Let's see. Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed Fall Update. Lake House unlocks for all owners of... Here we go. Lake House will unlock for all owners of the deluxe edition of Alan Wake 2 on all platforms on October 22nd. So I'm assuming then buying it is what, 20 for the DLC? I'm assuming it's probably $20 because they say the deluxe edition. So if you just got the normal Gennaro edition. And then, unfortunately, Tales of Kanzera, that's the voice actor who did Bayek in Origins. His team, he made a game, but they've just put every person on their team on hiatus due to lack of funding for their next game.
Oh, damn.
That's something. Yeah, that's something that like we're just seeing all the time now. It's happening. It's so crazy. It's just happening everywhere when it comes to not only just delays, but like or layoffs and stuff, but just games that we think are coming and then don't, and then we get Concord. By the way, did you guys see that Concord's getting a bunch of patches? So like we had said a couple months ago when it first came out, that because it did so poorly, we're like, it'll come back as free to play. And it looks like that's what they're doing, is coming back as free to play.
Interesting.
Yeah. But that was I don't think anybody assumed, at least here amongst us, that that's not what was happening. And then Call of Duty. So is anybody here doing Call of Duty 6 other than me? No? Okay. Not Call of Duty fans.
Probably not. I'll wait to see what the campaign is like.
Yeah, because that'll be more your style, right? Campaign.
Yeah, and if it's Game Pass, then that's a good
Game Pass.
It's a good way to get in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it is Game Pass, so you don't have to worry about that. You'll be able to. I mean, I don't think there'll be any issues. I think Game Pass unlocks everything too. I don't know of any restrictions on Game Pass, so you'll be able to get it day one. Also, there's some rumors that Xbox is still working on cloud and trying to improve that on the side. But we still haven't seen anything really on that. Seems to have sort of died on the vine for a little bit. And then let's see what else. Anybody in chat have any questions for us as we move through the... Let me look. Oh, people are still saying that they... Yeah, Dragon Quest. Yeah, we did talk about Dragon Quest at the starting. Sorry if you missed that. Reg is getting it. I'm getting it. Johnny's getting it. And I think... Silver, are you getting Dragon Quest? Oh, sorry. Dragon Quest 3?
Probably not, no.
Okay, gotcha. So it'll be just Reg and I. All right, I see how it is. Nobody else likes Dragon Quest. Jeez.
Let's see how it is.
You know, it is. It does feel.
I like some of them, but yeah,
it does feel old though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, Dragon Quest you know, there's something about
I
it.
always had trouble, like I think for some reason, for title reasons, I had trouble distinguishing between Dragon Quest and Breath of Fire, those two series, because they were both somewhat dragon related. So I confused the two sometimes.
You mean when they both have the same name, both have dragon in their title?
Yeah, I mean,
is that why, or
Breath of
just
Fire doesn't really
JRPG?
have dragon in the title? Yeah, to be.
Oh, I thought you literally said another dragon game.
But I mean, it sort of connotates dragons.
Oh, Breath of yeah. I can see that. Mutant League Football 2. Doom wants to know if I've heard anything about that. No, but we're trying to get the main developer back on. Also, Brian Fargo has accepted the invitation to come on. I just have to schedule that. So maybe a little bit of information about Clockwork Revolution. I can tease him about Wasteland 3 and co-op. Or lack of co-op. Yes. By the way, guys, still not patched. Still not fixed. Yeah. We had some people in chat last night who happened to we were talking about some other game. I think we were talking about XCOM style, I think was just how the discussion went. And still people having crashes with Wasteland 3 trying to put it all together, which just sucks. Mojo wanted to know, have you guys seen the new analog N64 console come out? No, but I did see that there was a post about it. There's like a company releasing one that's like a full. I don't think it's them though. I think it might be a third party. I could be wrong on that. Might be a third.
By the way,
company.
Did you guys see the Alarmo thing pop up from Nintendo?
The Alarmo thing.
So Nintendo released a wake up alarm. That's it. There's no like twist. There's no.
There's no twist.
It's an alarm. Yeah, it's literally an alarm. The only thing is that it can detect if you've gotten out of bed, and it will like scream at you if you still haven't gotten up, which can actually be a problem if you're two people, by the way. If you're sleeping with someone and you get out of the bed, but the other person doesn't, it will still like complain.
So if you guys have any fix for this, I would love to hear it. I have an issue right now with my cell phone / tablets. I have a phantom alarm. 6 a.m. every morning, every single Android device goes off, no matter what. And it's connected to, it must be connected to the calendar or what have you, but every single one goes off. I've gone to my calendars, deleted every single alarm, deleted every single calendar event, deleted everything, still goes off 6 a.m. every morning. Now, problem is, I have 4 tablets. So that means at 6 a.m. every morning, 4 tablets, 2 in my room, 2 in other rooms, bling at the loudest volume possible, or they can vibrate, but they'll continue to go on, and I cannot delete it. Has anybody ever heard of something like that happening? Like a calendar event that won't delete?
No.
Man, I don't know what's going on, but it's actually bothering me every morning morning, like right at 6. I'm just waiting to rush somewhere because my wife will be asleep and they'll be going off. I have to make sure I'm done working out at that time.
They're haunted.
Lucky enough, I'm asleep. Yeah. They are haunted. Soul Reaver Remaster is also coming out. Damn.
Oh, cool.
I didn't even know that. What else do we got? Anything else before we wrap it up?
No, that's it. It's bizarre. The alarm shouldn't exist. I don't see any value proposition whatsoever for anybody on the planet.
Other than a prank.
And that's it. Yeah.
Somebody's like, AI is like, we'll teach him. We'll teach him. Lucidin says that the clock tracks your movement in bed. I don't know if I like the idea of that.
No, and any like wearable device like the Oura Ring or whatever you want will do a better job 100% of like tracking if you actually want to track. So
you guys ever heard those stories about somebody using one of the Fitbits or the rings and finding out their spouse is cheating on them because it tracks where they go?
Oh, like, the steps or whatever.
There was so there was a run group, and this story's been reported a couple times, but this one in particular checked out like in the Snoops kind of way, where it checked out. But basically, people in run groups have their handy dandy, watches that track everything, and 2 people were always disappearing during runs, and their elevated heart rates were being reported, and a wife figured out that they were cheating. I was like, damn. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I feel like you could track that. I feel like they're that, if suddenly your Fitbit you're supposed to be asleep and your Fitbit's going up to like 120 beats per second. Just saying.
Quite a nightmare.
Yeah. And suddenly it's like he's either walking or rocking in bed.
You're getting like an SMS alert for
for health
incoming.
Yeah, it's like something's going on, man. Something's going on. This person may have a issue with a resting heartbeat. I ain't resting, baby. Mm-hmm. I ain't resting. Anyway, that'll be it for us. I want to thank Reg for coming on and talking to us about Japan. I want to thank you guys for showing up. As always, thanks to Silver and Johnny for always showing up. Check out Johnny's new YouTube channel at
Johnny Plays on YouTube.
Oh, it's still Johnny Plays, even for your
it's just not live. Yeah, it's
there we go. Yeah. It's just you should have called it Johnny Plays, just not live.
Yeah, really bit of a mouthful.
As my dog is vomiting in the background. Anyway, that'll be it for us. I want to say thanks to everybody again. Peace out, enjoy, check out the Patreon, check out the videos. You'll see more reviews in the next coming couple days. Peace out, everybody.
Cheers.